think we can just sit down, I think. If everybody can sit down, that'll be easier. Thank you. Good evening. I am Councillor Tim Needham, Chair of Council, and I would like to welcome you all to this full Council meeting. This meeting is proceeding on the basis all elected members have read their agenda papers and understand the business of today's meeting. We are not expecting a fire practice, but in the event of hearing the fire alarm, please leave the chamber, turn right, proceed down the stairway and through the emergency exit on the ground floor. Please assemble in the public square in front of Cast beyond the fountain. Anybody with mobility issues should wait in the refuge area near the lift and use intercom to call for assistance. This meeting will be recorded and published on the Council's YouTube channel. By entering the Council chamber, you are accepting that you will be recorded and your images will be retained and broadcast by the Council. If anyone is intending to record or film any part of today's meeting, please ensure that this does not disturb proceedings. Please ensure mobile phones are switched to silent mode. Would members please note that there has recently been some issues with feedback affecting microphones. If any buzzing starts whilst you are talking, please try to gently straighten the microphone to an upright position and the buzzing should subside. Finally, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Councillor Isaiah John Riesbeck, Ward Member for Bentley, who is attending his first Council meeting as an elected member. Item 1. I have received apologies for absence from Councillors Paul Cutts, Vicky Lawson, Howard Rimmer and Will Shaw. Are there any other apologies for absence? Okay, thank you. Item 2. To consider if the public and press are to be excluded from the meeting. There are no exempt items on today's agenda. Item 3. Declarations of interest. If anyone has an interest in any item on today's agenda, please can they declare it now or as soon as it becomes known to them. Okay, thank you. Can I also ask members who may declare an interest to complete and submit the declaration of interest form to one of the governance officers after the meeting? Thank you for that. Okay. Item 4. Minutes of the last council meeting held on the 10th of July 2025. Councillor Charity and I have had a little bit of a chuckle about this announcement, and so I think we should just take it in the sense that it is. So, subject to the deletion of the word Emma in front of Councillor Charity's name on page 21. Item G. But apart from that, do we agree that they are a true and accurate record? Is that all right, Councillor Charity? Thank you. Lots of discussion around typing errors and cutting and pasting and whatnot, but hey, we'll move on. Item 5, announcements. I have an announcement to make. Further to the email recently circulated to elected members, I wish to confirm I have agreed that the council meeting previously scheduled for Thursday the 20th of November at 2 has now been moved to Thursday the 27th of November at 2 p.m. instead. Please can you update your diaries accordingly? So that's a week later. Mayor Jones, do you wish to make any announcements?
I would, Chair. Thank you. Colleagues, last week saw the landmark decision at South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority Board to award us the gain share funding. This enables us to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport. I've said all along that I want to open our airport as soon as possible. Over the summer, whilst we were supporting Simca as they undertook assurance works, and during our continued discussions with airlines, it became clear that our aim for passenger flights in spring 26 was no longer achievable. To provide more details of this, if all goes to plan, we should have our airspace and aerodrome certification signed off before the end of June 26. Whilst in discussions with airlines over the summer, they could have committed to flights starting towards the end of June 26 on the basis that we had been granted our airspace and aerodrome certification. However, both of these are out of our control. I've faced criticism from opposition parties in relation to the shift of dates, but let me be perfectly clear. Fully reopening an airport is far more complicated than anyone within this room could envisage. But let there be no doubt, it will be under my leadership that this council will fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport. We already have 2 XL flying from DSA, and with a fair wind, and if everything goes to plan in respect of airspace, aerodrome certification and negotiations with airlines and freight operators, then in summer 26 we should see freight aircraft return to Doncaster. And before the end of 26, passengers being able to book their holidays taking off from Doncaster for the winter 27-28. As I said previously, the negotiations with airlines will determine when passenger flights return, and I've also stated that the interdependencies, including airspace and aerodrome certification. We now have the gain share funding agreed, so works will ramp up over the coming months. Fully reopening an airport certainly isn't easy. That is why last week we launched the search for 3 senior managers who will be pivotal in setting an airport and running the ground operations. The roles: Head of General Aviation and Cargo, Head of Fire Rescue and Emergency Planning, and Head of Assets, are being advertised on City of Doncaster Council's website, with the closing dates being the end of September, with the plan to have these posts all in place by January at the latest. Each of the roles are expected at this level require high-level expertise and a significant track record in delivery and experience. Rest assured, this is just the beginning as we work to fully reopen our airport and create the jewel in the crown we all know it can and should be. There will be more roles advertised in the coming weeks which are essential to getting the airport ready for freight and then for passenger flights. One of the most important stages next will be to fully establish Fly Doncaster, and for meetings of Cabinet and full Council to consider the necessary decisions required, including finance and governance. This will also include the establishment of the Airport Consultative Committee. A lot of people have worked very hard to get us to where we are today, and I'd like to thank Council staff who've put in hard work over years to make this reopening of the airport possible. You do not see the hours, the dedication and commitment to the airport from staff like I do. Much of this is done on top of the day job, so I'd like to thank them for their professionalism, dedication and hard work. As ever, this type of decision will go through the full decision-making process, including the relevant scrutiny through Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee, and in the interest of openness and transparency, as little as possible will be on restricted pink papers. So, another step closer to fully reopening Doncaster Sheffield Airport and making our ambitions become reality. I now have a further announcement, Chair. Big neighbourhood conversation. Council, as I am sure you are all aware, we are currently undertaking a significant consultation exercise with our residents and communities across the City of Doncaster called the Big Neighbourhood Conversation. The deadline for submissions has now been extended until this Sunday, the 21st of September. I would encourage you all to both complete the survey and share it across your communities. We want to know what our residents like about where they live and what they would like to see improved, with some suggestions on how we can help make those changes happen. The feedback will be used to inform my refreshed borough strategy as well as my plans for next year's budget. Once consultation closes and we have collated all the data, we will be able to provide councillors with a ward-by-ward analysis. My message to the people of Doncaster is to get involved, have your say, and work with us to improve all our communities across this great city. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. At this point, I'd just like to revert back to housekeeping, and it is rather warm this evening. So if people want to take jackets off, that's absolutely fine by me. And just to remind people that there is a water fountain over in the corner. So if you do need to get some fresh air or have a quick drink, then please do so, because it's important that we stay safe. Thank you. Moving on, Deputy Mayor, do you have any announcements?
I have none, Chair. Thank you.
Any other Cabinet members? Councillor Nevitt, please.
Thank you, Chair. My announcement today is about the recent CQC inspection. The Care Quality Commission, often abbreviated to the CQC, has been assessing how local authorities meet their adult social care duties under the 2014 Care Act. All 153 local authorities in England will have been assessed by the end of March 2026. Following assessment, each local authority is graded by the CQC on a scale from outstanding to good, to requires improvement, to inadequate. Just over 1/3 of councils have had their assessments completed by the CQC. A tiny number have received outstanding or inadequate ratings. Most councils to date have either been assessed as good or as requiring improvement. Doncaster's assessment by the Care Quality Commission was recently completed, and we are waiting to receive our report. I am expecting this in the next few weeks. A huge amount of information was shared with the CQC. We submitted over 300 written documents. People receiving care gave consent for CQC to review individual support that they had been given. CQC carried out a large number of interviews with Doncaster people, carers, care organisations, partners and council staff. Overall, CQC were given full access to information and testimony that will help them robustly assess how we are performing. The report they give us will be made available to the public. Under the leadership of Mayor Ros Jones, significant investment and support has been provided to adult social care in Doncaster. I am confident that the Care Quality Commission will identify strengths in this council that we can build on. There will also be areas for development. Regardless of the assessment that CQC provide, we will always look to continually improve, seeking to provide the best outcomes possible for Doncaster people who need care and support, the family members, friends and neighbours who provide essential unpaid care, and the adult social care workforce who work day and night to support the well-being of our residents. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Councillor Farmer, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, please allow me some lenience on time as I have a number of important announcements to make. I'd like to take this opportunity to reflect on the incredible progress we've made across Doncaster in learning, inclusion and community empowerment. From festivals that spark curiosity to programmes that transform lives, our collective efforts are shaping a future that is bold, inclusive and deeply rooted in place. Let's begin with a celebration. In 2025, Remake Learning Days Festival marked its third successful year, drawing over 10,000 attendees across 211 activities in 38 areas, delivered by 70 organisations and council services. Feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with enjoyment rated 4.8 out of 5. This isn't just a festival, it's a movement, and we are embedding that movement into our Thrive programme, expanding informal learning throughout initiatives like Learning for Life Week in Edlington and planning further weeks in Exthorpe and Bowlby. This hyperlocal, inclusive approach ensures learning is responsive to community needs and supports residents to build confidence, develop new skills and explore pathways in education, employment and volunteering. We are also investing strategically, and I'm proud to announce that we have secured an additional $640,000 from the Adult Skills Fund. bringing a total of investment for the academic year 2025-26 to nearly 1.5 million. This funding will expand our adult, family and community learning offer, including the development of community skills hubs, spaces where residents can access tailored learning and connect with opportunity. Doncaster has been successful in securing a place as part of the government's local youth transformation pilot. A 3-day review was undertaken in July, which highlights the strength we currently have in our youth offer for Doncaster, including continued high investment in youth services that are more than double the national average. We now are able to apply for up to $750,000 in funding to support our youth offer, focusing on expanding the local authorities' capability to deliver a local youth offer that fully satisfies our statutory duty to provide sufficient recreational and positive activities for young people. This includes providing enhanced support for our voluntary, community and faith sector in delivering activities, providing them with training and development to ensure that we have a high-quality offer for all young people across the city. Summer 2025 saw another bumper holiday period of activities for children and young people across Doncaster. The Holiday Activity Food Programme, which is targeted for children and young people in receipt of benefits related free school meals, saw 39 providers delivering around 26,000 places across the city. The Universal Summer Programme, which was accessible for all children and young people, was made possible through the £200,000 of funding allocated by Mayor Ros Jones, and this council provided 10,000 places available to all children and young people, working alongside 46 providers. Across both programmes, 42 areas of the city were covered with activities happening in all 21 wards. Both programmes provide children and young people with a range of activities and experiences that may not ordinarily have access to. It ensures children engage in positive activities throughout the summer. The Holiday Activity and Food Programme also provides children with a nutritious meal and snacks, and therefore mitigates against potential holiday hunger. We are currently working with all providers to compile a full evaluation of the programmes, which will be brought to Cabinet later in the year. This week has also seen the announcement from this Labour government that funding for the Holiday Activity and Food Programme will continue for the next 3 years. Excuse me. My final announcement is in relation to the dedicated school grant, of which there has been considerable interest from councillors. Following on from the last full council meeting, a briefing was sent out to you all with some headline details, but I will take this opportunity to provide you all with some further information. It is estimated that the national deficit will be around £5 billion by the end of this financial year, with 65% of councils across the country being at risk of not setting a balanced budget when the override ends in 2028. Doncaster's outturn at the end of 2024-25 was £37.6 million. This national crisis is the outcome of significant flaws in national government policy, primarily in the 2015 legislation, which was led by the previous Conservative government. Recent national reports have set out the complexity that face councils as they deliver the legislation, noting the National Audit Office stated in 2024 that the department did not fully assess the likely financial consequences of the reforms. And as stated by the Education Policy Institute last year, that...
Can I just interrupt, Councillor Farmer? You are well over, and I have been gracious in allowing your extra time. So would you be able just to briefly sum up and,
Yes,
and
I
finish?
haven't got much left.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Chair. Thank you. Right, where was I? Right. As stated by the Education Policy Institute last year, it is unclear how it is possible to make savings within a framework in which local authorities have a legal duty to meet rising needs. In Doncaster, we have worked hard to limit these impacts, opening new specialist provisions and focusing more efforts on supporting schools.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. I can't give you any more time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have got a long agenda and it's going to go on quite a while, but thank you for your update. Are there any other Cabinet members? And can you please be succinct? Thank you.
Got several announcements to make, Chair. Firstly, Get Doncaster Moving Impact Report for 24-25. I'm pleased to share with you all the incredible progress this Council has made in supporting Doncaster communities to be more active. Our Get Doncaster Moving Impact Report for 24-25 has been published. It is now available online, and I believe a copy has been provided to you all via your pigeonholes. This annual report celebrates the contribution of hundreds of individuals and organisations across the Get Doncaster Moving network, all working towards our shared vision of a healthy, vibrant communities through movement, physical activity and sport. Key highlights include 11,000 fewer inactive adults since 2015, 4,800 fewer inactive children since 2017, a growing and increasingly connected Get Doncaster Moving network with over 1,500 partners involved, which is a considerable increase from just 96 in 2018. The City of Doncaster is leading the way on how to increase sport and exercise by sharing our learning across the UK and shaping national policy and practice, and now internationally with a visit on the 1st of October by the Director of Participation for Australian Sport Commission, Sue McGill. I would appreciate if all councillors were to share and promote the report across your networks to help amplify the collective positive impact. And of course, huge thanks to Andrew Maddox and the team for putting this report together. Secondly, the St Leger. At the end of last week and over the weekend, our racecourse and the city once again hosted the historic St Leger Festival, where we welcomed over 50,000 people to Doncaster, and according to South Yorkshire Police, it was largely without incident. The St Leger Festival is one of the most prestigious race weeks of the British horse racing calendar and an experience not to be missed. Next year will mark the 250th anniversary of the first running of the St Leger Stakes. This will, of course, be a massive celebration, and I'm pleased to say that the Council is already working with Doncaster Racecourse to ensure that we have and we make the 2026 St Leger Festival one to remember. And then finally, Bentley Health Construction works have officially commenced to build the new £7 million Bentley Primary Care Centre for Bentley, which will bring vital health and community services all under one roof. Located on Chapel Street in the heart of Bentley, the new 3-storey care centre will provide purpose-built, modern facilities to support integrated healthcare delivery for the City of Doncaster. Funding for the construction is provided by NHS England, with NHS South Yorkshire providing revenue for the building once completed. Scheduled to complete in spring 26, the centre will bring together 2 existing GP practices, Don Valley Healthcare and the Ransom practice. And Cynthia, what a brilliant Dr. Peter was. He would be so pleased. It will be offering state-of-the-art facilities for the future of delivery primary care services, greater access of choice for patients, enhanced integration of NHS and services. The scheme also aligns with NHS long-term plan, a 10-year strategy to improve and modernise the NHS over the next decade, harnessing digital technology to improve the efficiency of primary care. I'm delighted to see the work begin on this project, not just because I am the relevant Cabinet member, but I'm also a councillor for Bentley. Residents will be able to access healthcare right in the heart of their local community. This is a must for all communities, and it's brilliant news that this local project is now underway.
Thank you, Councillor Church. I just want to say that I think it's important that Cabinet members can make announcements, and there are standing orders as to how long they are, and with being gracious, I give people extended time, but actually I feel that point of order were relevant, so apologies for cutting you short, Councillor Farmer. Thank you. Moving on, Chief Executive, do you wish to make any announcements?
Thank you, Chair. I have a considerable list. Oh, no, sorry, I have none.
No request for extra time there. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 6, presentation of a petition relating to road safety measures in Barnby Dun. Councillor Hughes, I understand you are presenting this petition on behalf of local residents. You have up to 5 minutes to present your petition to Council. Can I remind all members there is no opportunity for discussion on this item as a petition is received by the Council without debate. At the close of the meeting, officers will ensure your petition is handed over for consideration to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Glyn Jones, Cabinet Member for Environment, Housing and Safety Communities. Councillor Hughes, you have 5 minutes to present your petition.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, councillors, fellow councillors. It won't take 5 minutes, by the way. I sit here proud today to present a petition, which I have in my hands here, on behalf of 133 residents of Barnby Dun, who are deeply concerned about the ongoing road safety issues on Pinehall Road and Meadowfield Road. Both of these residential streets were designated as 20-mile-per-hour zones, but sadly, the speed restrictions are being regularly ignored. Painted road markings alone are proving ineffective, and residents continue to witness vehicles travelling well above the limit, often at dangerous speeds. Over the past 2 years, there have been a number of serious incidents where vehicles have actually crashed through front gardens and hedges. Fortunately, no lives have yet been lost, but we should not wait until tragedy strikes before decisive action is taken. The residents are calling for the installation of physical traffic calming measures, specifically speed bumps or cushions, to ensure that drivers respect the speed limit. They firmly believe that without such measures, the risk to children, families and all road users will remain unacceptably high. The petition demonstrates overwhelming local support for this request, and I am urging this council to respond positively. Therefore, I ask that this petition be formally received and referred to the Highways, Transport and Environment team for urgent consideration, with a report back to this chamber on what can be done to make Pinehall Road and Meadowfield Road safe for the community. Mayor, colleagues, this is a clear example of residents working together to raise a serious issue that affects their daily lives. They deserve our full support. Let us act now before we are dealing with a preventable tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Can we formally note the presentation of Councillor Hughes' petition to the Council, and this will be passed on to Deputy Mayor Councillor Glyn Jones for consideration at the close of the meeting. Okay, thank you. Item 7, questions from the public. There are 4 public questions on today's agenda to the Mayor and Cabinet members. I shall read out each question and allow the relevant executive member to respond. I will then allow the member of the public submitting the question an opportunity to ask a supplementary question if they wish to. You will be directed to the public microphone by our civic assistant, and you will be given 2 minutes to ask your supplementary question. This question should not be a statement and must be a question arising directly out of the original question or the reply given. I will read out the first question from Mr. Doug Wright from the National Health and Social Care Party. What will the Mayor do to stop St George's flags and Union Jacks currently being put up on Doncaster's lampposts? This is not being done by the Council, but by so-called patriots. And I and many others, even in the 1970s and after, have been stopped by the Council staff and police officials for trying to hang NHS banners and flags on lampposts for even only a couple of hours at Clock Corner when handing out NHS leaflets. All other similar type organisations have also previously been stopped. Mayor Jones, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Mr. Wright. I cannot comment on what happened in the 1970s, as I wasn't there nor a councillor. In relation to the recent flying of the flag of St George, you may be aware of the motion which was put forward by Reform at the last meeting of full council, where they wanted me to review our flag policy to only allow the Union flag to be flown from any council-owned land or property. Their request would have seen us ban the flag of St George, alongside flags such as green flags in our parks and green spaces, the Armed Forces Day flag, and even the flag to celebrate Yorkshire Day. As part of the council papers before us today, there is a report which states that I will not be amending the flag flying policy. I'm proud of my Doncaster and Yorkshire identity. I'm proud of our armed forces, and I'm proud of our country. We have seen numerous flags put up on lampposts in recent weeks, in which we are taking a common sense approach. As a council, we do not intend to remove any Union flag or flag of St George unless they are reported and considered to be a hazard to pedestrians and or motorists. For example, if they are obstructing road signage or traffic lights. However, spray paintings of road markings, signage and street furniture will not be tolerated, as they potentially obscure the function of road markings, signage and street furniture. There is absolutely nothing wrong with flying the flag of St George or the Union flag. Let's, enough pride in our communities and pride in our country, let's promote British values of democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty and mutual respect and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. These are the British values which I hold dear. We have Remembrance Sunday coming up in just over 6 weeks, where, once again, we will see the Union flag and the regimental flags adorn our war memorials and cenotaph, to reflect and give thanks to the servicemen and women who have made the greatest sacrifice for our freedom. I do acknowledge that there are some who are using the flag of St George and the Union flag to stoke racial hatred and cause division within our communities. For anyone that wishes to cause community tension through racist language and actions, then I have this message for you. You do not speak for the people of Doncaster, and you do not uphold British values that you proclaim to be trying to protect. Just last week, we saw the fatal shooting of a political activist in the USA, which I wholeheartedly condemn. I implore everyone to take a step back. We are seeing political and racial hatred spreading like wildfire. As politicians within this chamber, it is the responsibility of us all to promote political debate, to disagree agreeably, and to stand up against hatred, personal attacks and violence. Across our country and across the Western world, we are seeing the continued polarisation of politics and the apparent inability of some to simply to be able to listen and acknowledge that people can hold personal and political views. We have a proud history of democracy in this country, but if we let such hatred fester, then we are forgetting those British values that this country was built on. Those British values of democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. Thank you for your question, Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright, do you wish to ask a supplementary question?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. The difficulty I've got, Chair, is that the report from the Chief Executive is not coming on to item 15, as I understand it. And so therefore I don't know what it's going to say relating to this question. I presume that the question's got to be done now, and I can't wait to item 15, can I?
No, you've got to ask your question based on your question and the answer. And
No, I haven't got that yet.
If you don't have one, then there's no question.
Sorry?
If you need to ask a question based on what you asked and what the response is.
Yes, I'm just going to asking you, can I do that first before I ask the question?
Yes, you may, yes.
Thank you. Right, so there's no mention anywhere about my question about relating NHS, HNS. Do you live a bit closer? Excuse me.
No, it's all right, mate.
Right, that's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay in a way. Please. There's no mention of my talking about NHS flags at all as related to my question. I understand what the answer is, but there's no question about whether or not I could put a flag on forever on a lamppost in my road, but NHS flags can carry on, national flags can carry on in the same way. But since the operation as it stands, I'd like to ask the question about these flags. Can you tell me why, since all these flags waving started last May by a group called Raise the Flag, who many people like or don't like, but they started this off last May. Can I
just interject there that this is not going anywhere in relation to the question. It's a real diversion. Can you please be succinct?
Can I finish the answer, please?
Can you be succinct? Thank you.
Pardon? I can't hear you.
I said, can you be succinct and ask a question? Because we need to.
I can't say succinct, unlike the people early on who went on for about 20 minutes, but I will be
okay,
succinct.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
But
moving on, please.
Presumably,
moving on to the next question.
The flag holders could.
Can we turn
I'm trying to be awkward here.
I'm the chair of this council,
Yes,
and actually, are you arguing with me?
I remember NHS.
Can we just move on? We'll just move on, please, to the next question. Thank you. I'm sorry. I've asked to move on. I've asked you twice to ask a question, and you've not done. And I'm afraid your time is up. I'm so sorry. You will have to do it next time.
I've discussed it. You, Chair, doing this to.
I'm not going to rule you out, but actually the authority of the chair in this chamber has asked you twice to ask a question, twice you've not, and then I'm not arguing with you, we're moving on. I've made my decision, we're moving on to the next question. Thank you. I will just ask for advice and then we will continue the meeting. Excuse me, the meeting is adjourned and we will reconvene in 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you all. Be seated. A couple of points. First of all is I quickly wanted a question. A question had already been answered. We'd had a response and the supplementary was not forthcoming. I'd already challenged cabinet members for not being succinct in timekeeping. That's that. And the second point is members of the public are not allowed to ask questions. There is a facility available for that to happen, and they send a question in beforehand where there is a response, and that is the protocol and the procedure of this council, and that's what's happened. So thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Moving on, I will now read out the second question from Georgina Mullis. Being a volunteer at Wormsworth Library for many years, I am concerned that there appears to have been no meaningful consultation as to its proposed closure and relocation. Having been given only a few days to reply to cost questions, it feels like an attempt to justify the action after fact. A petition has been organised regarding concerns over the proposal and has been signed over by signed by over 1,000 people. Wormsworth is a very active library. Have you considered what would happen to the defibrillator access to warm, cool space, numerous social activities and safe spaces for children and adults currently provided by volunteers? Mayor Jones, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for your question, Councillor Mullis. We recognise the importance of the library service based in Wormsworth. That is why there has been extensive examination of options prior to the proposal for the service to be relocated to Wormsworth Community Hub within the Stapleton Centre. The citywide asset rationalisation programme is designed to ensure services are delivered from buildings that are safe, sustainable and fit for purpose, while supporting the Council's broader commitment to community wellbeing, inclusion and financial responsibility. The Community Hub was identified as the most appropriate location, offering a better maintained, more accessible and more cost-effective venue only 350 metres from the current site. The existing library building is a modular structure at the end of its expected life. A condition survey identified significant issues with the fabric of the building, as well as heating, electrical and mechanical systems, with a revised capital investment requirement of $132,350, simply to maintain ongoing use of the building. Annual running costs are also above average for a building of its size and use. Less than a month ago, on the 23rd of July, the programme team met with Wormsworth Community Partnership to share the proposed rationale. The group were invited to provide feedback and assured they wouldn't be responsible for funding the relocation. They requested cost details to explore independent building management, which was shared by email and in person. Several follow-up meeting emails were exchanged and further enquiries were addressed through August and September. The group has not been asked to comment directly on building costs. Consultation has taken place with the library services. This has included site visits and the ability to input into proposed documents. The project outline was issued to all library groups in September 24, and there has been a follow-up in-person engagement with the Wormsworth Volunteer Group earlier this month. There has also been engagement with the relevant cabinet members, local ward members, community teams and public health colleagues have been involved in all steps of the building review and decision-making process. A relocation of the library would allow the group to continue all community activities in a building which is in considerably better condition and enable users to access the library services alongside other services within the same building. The presence of a defibrillator at the current site has been noted, and it is worth highlighting that the proposed relocation site, the Community Hub, already has a defibrillator installed and accessible to the public. If you have a supplementary question, then may I ask that you put it in writing to Councillor Glyn Jones, who leads on assets, and Councillor David Nevitt, who is Cabinet Lead for Libraries and Culture. But thank you for your question, Councillor Mullis.
Ms Bailey, would you like to ask a supplementary question? Would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Yes, I would like to
Please speak now, it's fine.
Will there be any further consultation with the library volunteers and WCP with regard to the suitability of the hub and its suitability for all our activities? None of the library volunteers or WCP members have been invited to see the room available, and we have a petition of 1,522 signatures and another 125. We did offer to pay for the running costs, but we've had no proper meeting to be able to express what we want. and a lot of the elderly people just can't get down there. So I'm asking you, could you reconsider, please?
Thank you, Ms Bailey. Mayor Jones.
Because of the distance being 360 metres, I believe it is, and consultation that we have been informed has taken place, I'm sure, however, Councillor Jones will actually attend as the asset portfolio holder to hear where you think there's something. You should be able to see the area that you would be actually relocated to, and will ensure that that happens. Thank you for your second question.
Thank you, Ms Mullis, and apologies for reading the incorrect name. And just another point of information as well, there were a couple of telephones that went off there. When we first came into chamber, we asked people if they could turn their telephones to silent mode, so could that please be done? Thank you. Okay, so on to our third question from Ms Anne-Louise Bailey. As one of many residents who know several women across South Yorkshire that have sought IVF treatment or attempted pregnancy over a lengthy period, I am mortified to hear that South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board's current proposal to reduce the number of cycles down from 3 to 1 attempt for individuals wanting to become pregnant for the first time. This issue, alongside other life milestones, can be one of the most stressful things on an individual's mental health, and basing success on 1 attempt will lead to a lower success rate of that 1 cycle. Will Doncaster Council oppose South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board's proposal? Mayor Jones, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your question, Ms Bailey. As you will see, there is a motion to be discussed and debated on as part of today's agenda in relation to this very topic. As a mother and grandmother, I know firsthand the impact that starting a family can have on our health and mental well-being. I cannot begin to imagine the heartache that some couples endure simply to start a family through having to go through IVF. I hope to see cross-party support for the IVF motion before us today, but let me make my position completely clear. I do not support the proposal of South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board. I believe that the number of IVF cycles should fall in line with the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, which recommends women under 40 years be offered up to 3 cycles and 1 cycle for women aged between 40 and 42. This would not be fair for residents of South Yorkshire, as it would put us at a disadvantage to neighbouring counties. Thank you for your question.
Ms Bailey, do you have a supplementary question?
No, that was a perfect answer, Rose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will now read out the final question from Mr Christian Novak to Councillor James Church, Cabinet Member for Neighbourhoods, Planning and Public Health. And then it says Mayor Jones. So, Mayor Jones told his council that 5 traders were in final discussions for the remaining retail units in the Corn Exchange and were expected to move in during the summer. To date, none are trading and only 1 has a come in soon sign. On what information was the Mayor's statement based and from whom? Was it a market asset management? And if so, how is the council holding them to account?
Thank you for your question, Mr Nowak. I have raised your question with Market Asset Management, who operate the markets, and they have stated 1 unit is scheduled to open at the end of this month, 3 units are due to open in October, and 1 is going to be a Santa's Grotto over the festive period. I can also confirm that 2 of those traders will be young traders. Further discussions are ongoing with potential traders for the 1 remaining unit that will be available after the Christmas period. However, these things take time given the commercial nature of the discussions. In respect of your point about holding MAM to account, we do. And we have recently enhanced the governance arrangements with quarterly updates to me as the relevant Cabinet Member, and this will be progressed further in addition to the established frequent officer meetings this Council holds with them. I will be meeting with MAM again in the coming weeks as part of the usual governance procedure. I think it is also worth pointing out the incredible strengths in relation to Doncaster markets, including that for Q1 of this financial year. There has been an increase in footfall being recorded in the marketplace. We are currently seeing 87% occupancy across the Doncaster market estate, which is a better position than other neighbouring authorities, and we are presently planning considerable investment in Doncaster market estates, and I am looking forward to shaping these plans and having discussion with market traders, business, councillors, and of course, the people of Doncaster. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Mr Novak here in the chamber, and would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Please, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Councillor. Just a couple of points from the answer you've given me. I asked on what information the Mayor based her statement that the units will be open this summer. I don't think that's been answered, but that's by the by. 3 units are due to open in October. Is this a substantiated assurance or unsubstantiated? But needless to say, I will be keeping an eye on this, and if they aren't open in October, I'll be asking a question at the November Council meeting. And lastly, on your answer, that we're in a better position, Doncaster Market Estate, than neighbouring authorities. I would like to say, have you actually been to Barnsley Market? Visited Barnsley Market? But anyway, on to my supplementary question. The MBC have been running the markets for over 50 years. Market asset management were brought in, as the council said, and I quote, because there is no one employed by the council who has the experience or expertise to run the markets profitably. I personally can't believe that among all the council employees on 6-figure and above salaries, there was no one who had the ability required to actually run a market profitably. Is this the case?
I've been to Barnsley, because obviously here different things, but Barnsley's circumstances and their financial arrangements are different from ours. I can give you that guarantee. I can also, obviously what's happened in the past, I've taken over since May. I've been to the markets on numerous occasions. I've personally responded to issues that have arisen since then. Last week, I met the new general manager in person, and I was glad that she shared my views regarding the Corn Exchange. You are right that the lettings are important, but alongside that there needs to be a focus on events. The Corn Exchange is a beautiful building and is a perfect setting for any occasion. And this isn't me just paying lip service to reasonable questions from people like yourself. I actually do care about the markets. Yes, they have changed with the times, but I have fond memories of helping my nana with a market shop, carrying all the bags, and being rewarded with a breakfast in Minerva. So yes, I genuinely look forward to playing my part in shaping a healthy future for our markets. And hopefully, in November, it will be a better position, and hopefully you won't have to ask the same question.
Thank you, Councillor Church, and thank you for your question, Mr Novak. Item 8. Result of the local government by-election for Bentley Ward held on 21st of August 2025. The report details the results of local government by-election for Bentley, at which Councillor Isaiah John Rigbeck was duly elected. Does anybody wish to speak on this report? Thank you. Councillor yes, sorry, right, it's come up now. Sorry, Guy, you didn't show earlier. Please.
That's okay. Yes, Chair, I'm delighted to welcome Isaiah to the Council. After narrowly missing out on a win in Hexham during May, he joined Hatfield Town Council and then achieved success in the Bentley by-election. Isaiah exemplifies the idea that with enough determination you can achieve your goals. During the Bentley by-election, he worked tirelessly, canvassing hundreds of households and covering many miles. If as a ward councillor he applies even half the effort he put into the Bentley campaign, I've every confidence that he will excel in his new role. So welcome, my good friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a proposal to note the report? Thank you. Okay. The report is noted. At that point, it was an agree by consensus kind of thing. Okay. Item 9, Youth Justice Plan. Can I invite Councillor Sue Farmer, Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Families, to propose this report? Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Chair. It is both an honour and a responsibility to present the Statutory Youth Justice Plan for 2025-26, a document that not only fulfils our legal obligations under the 1998 Crime and Disorder Act, it is more importantly reflects the heart and soul of our commitment to children and families in Doncaster. This plan, submitted annually to the Youth Justice Board for England and Wales, is more than a report. It is a testament to the transformative power of care, innovation and community. In Doncaster, our Youth Justice Service continues to deliver an offer that is not only effective but deeply human. We meet children and families where they are, and we walk with them towards where they can be. The voices within this plan speaks louder than any statistic, and one parent shared, "I don't think you have enough acknowledgement for the work you do. These services saved my daughter's life." Another young person reflected, "My anger has significantly reduced and I'm no longer involved with drugs. I feel the calmest and happiest I've ever been." These are not just quotes, these are echoes of lives changed, futures reclaimed and hope restored. This year, we launched a groundbreaking initiative through our prevention service, EPIC, and a virtual reality programme designed to address antisocial behaviour. This immersive experience allows young people to see, feel and understand the consequences of their actions in a way that traditional methods simply cannot replicate. It is bold, it is innovative and it is working. Alongside this, our success in delivering the turnaround programme, part of the government's strategy to prevent crime and reoffending, has been nothing but short of remarkable. Of 131 children engaged, only 0.7% offended or reoffended. This is not just a number. This is a generation being steered away from the margins and towards possibility. Yes, we do not shy away from difficult truths. The rise in harmful sexual behaviour, particularly amongst boys, demands a thoughtful and urgent response. In our in-house harmful sexual behaviour service is designed to assess risks and intervene effectively, preventing future harm and safeguarding the well-being of all involved. We also have entered into a strategic partnership with Ardash, bringing our substance misuse support specialists directly into our team. This alignment promises a more constant and effective offer for young people across the city, and while it is a new arrangement, we are committed to reviewing its impact annually to ensure it delivers on its promise. Innovation continues with our trial of the Buddy Tag system, a voluntary tracking tool aimed at tackling child criminal exploitation and supporting crime prevention. It is a modern solution to a deeply complex issue and one that reflects our commitment to both safety and dignity. The Youth Justice Service is held to rigorous performance indicators measuring our impacts against regional and national benchmarks. Our mission is clear: to prevent children from entering the criminal justice system, to reduce reoffending and to limit the use of custody to only when it is safe and proportionate. We achieve this through a trauma-informed, relationship-based model that offers access to both therapeutic and practical support. Let us remember, justice is not just about punishment, it's about prevention, restoration and opportunity. And in Doncaster, we are proving that when systems are built with empathy and innovation, lives are not only changed, they are saved. I would also like to give my thanks to Neil Thomas, ex-superintendent in Doncaster, chair of the Youth Justice Management Board, for his support, dedication and drive to bring positive changes to the lives of our young people here in Doncaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Councillor Kidd, I understand you wish to second the motion.
Thank you, Chair. I was delighted to chair the Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee that took the opportunity to ask questions about the Youth Justice Plan. We're delighted to be able to support it before it was sent to Cabinet and acknowledge the fact that Doncaster is in the highest performing quartile for preventing reoffending. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. I think I've got a frog in my throat. Excuse me. If any member wishes to speak on this item, sorry, how's it going? I had a bit of a cough. How's better? If any member wishes to speak on this item, please indicate by pressing the button on your console once. Okay. Oh.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Rob Dennis, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to speak in support of this item and just draw members' attention to page 7 of the report. It reads, the Youth Justice Service has operated a youth crime diversion programme, EPIC, for over 9 years. This means that many children that may have come into little contact with the criminal justice service have been prevented from doing so. And further on it reads, the addition of turnaround delivery, designed to be a light touch for those who are cusp of offending, has contributed to preventing children coming into the criminal justice system. Of the 131 children that Turnaround has engaged with, only 4 have reoffended this year. So it just talks about the good work that we're doing here. And also want to shout out the EPIC Hub as well, which are based in the Frenchgate Centre in my ward, that do all sorts of outreach activities with the children there as well. And also I know that there's been a police presence, increased police presence in the Frenchgate as well to, again, help to tackle the youth justice issue we've got. So, yeah, speaking in support of this.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Mayor Ross-Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to point out, in the past year, there's been some very strong performance in preventing and diverting children from the criminal justice system. 98% of children receiving a diversionary outcome did not reoffend. And at the bottom of that paragraph, it actually states, Doncaster is in the highest performing quartile with a trajectory of further reductions anticipated. Over the past year, no child has received a custodial sentence, placing Doncaster as one of the highest performing areas in England and Wales. I wish to congratulate all the hard work that's put in by our officers, along with parents often at times and the young people concerned, to actually bring about such good results, because where we can avoid a youngster going into the criminal justice system, it gives them a greater start in life as they move through their life cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak before I offer Councillor Farmer her right to reply? Okay, thank you. Councillor Farmer.
No, I would like to say thank you for all the support and thank you to all the officers for making this possible and all the members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that the Youth Justice Plan for 2025-26 be approved. Is that agreed? Agreed, Chair. Thank you. The Youth Justice Plan is approved. Item 10, Doncaster Health and Wellbeing Board's Annual Report 2024-2025. Can I ask Councillor James Church, Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board, to propose this report? Councillor Church.
Chair, I'm pleased to present the 4th annual report of Doncaster's Health and Wellbeing Board. which is the first report produced following the approval of Doncaster's new health and wellbeing strategy, which was finalised and launched in September 2024. The report provides a reflection on the work of the board over the last 12 months, focusing on the development of the new strategy and the evolution of the Health and Wellbeing Board. Work to enable development and improvement across the 3 areas of focus: improved experience of ageing, narrowing the health gap for women and children, and creating healthy places to live and grow. The report describes the statutory roles and responsibilities of the Health and Wellbeing Board and provides an overview of the insight and evidence generated through the development sessions conducted throughout the year. I want to take the opportunity to thank the many professionals, services and residents who shared their knowledge and experiences through these development sessions. The report uses these 3 case studies to illustrate progress made so far in each of the 3 strategic areas of focus. These examples highlight the strength of collaboration across services and functions and show how we listen to and work with Doncaster residents to improve health and wellbeing outcomes. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all those who have held the Health and Wellbeing Board chair role over the last year, former councillors Rachel Blake and Nigel Ball. Their leadership has been instrumental in maintaining and developing a productive Health and Wellbeing Board, a Doncaster strength that has been commended by the Local Government Association. I also extend my sincere thanks to all board members and partners for their continued commitment to the officers who are dedicated to ensuring that high quality arrangements are in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Church. Councillor Nevitt, I understand you wish to second the motion.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to second the board's annual report. It is good to attend the meetings now in the community, not in the council chamber, as many topics are covered which have resonance for our residents. The mission is to make a strategy which supports our residents to add life to years and years to life. The team hope that the strategy also allows Doncastrians to live life healthier for longer. Can I also say thank you to all the staff who not only make the report, but also make the plan work and put it into action. I second this report.
Thank you, Councillor Nevitt. If any member wishes to speak on this item, please indicate by pressing the button on your console once. Councillor Jane Cox, please.
Thank you, Chair. Having read the report, I am disappointed that it does not mention the Autism and Learning Disability Strategy that expired in 2024. Councillor Kidd and myself worked for many years to get this embedded in council. I hope that this will be re-looked at in this municipal year and presented to council, as well as being included in the Health and Wellbeing report for this year. I hope it will not be overlooked, as we were assured that that would not happen.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Dennis, please.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in favour and in support of the Doncaster Health and Wellbeing Annual Report. One of the key areas of focus is creating healthy places to live, grow and play. In Town Ward, we are blessed with 2 excellent green spaces, Elmfield Park and Town Field. Indeed, I joined the Mayor and Council staff at the green flag raising of these parks earlier this week. It can't be understated how important green spaces are to help people of all ages, but especially children, live well. Yesterday, I was reminded of the importance of this when I visited Central Family Hub in the heart of the Baldby Bridge estate. The team there do incredible work with families from across the central area, but also those in the high-rise flats on the estate that don't have immediate access to green spaces. And I know Councillor Nevitt mentioned there about the meetings being held of the board out in the community. I'd encourage one of those meetings to be in one of the family hubs to sort of show what their staff deal with there as well. By engaging with the council and its partners, young people can experience play in green facilities they may not have done otherwise to help to reduce overall health inequality across the borough.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Does anyone else wish to speak before I offer Councillor Church's right to reply? Okay, thank you. Councillor Church, please.
Thanks, Jane. I've took note of your remarks. I'd also just like to say that it's been delivered with compassion, and so much of what we are doing is aligned and has to be. For instance, the Doncaster Dementia Strategy, which was presented on the 3rd of July to the Health and Adults and Social Care Scrutiny, highlighted areas of common focus. Credit to the chair and members of that particular meeting. It was an inspiring meeting. Councillor Knight, wherever you are. I've already spoken about Get Doncaster Moving, the new healthcare centre at Bentley, and there is so much more going on. And of course, members are welcome to attend the next Health and Wellbeing meeting on the 6th of November at Stainforth.
Thank you, Councillor Church. It has been moved and seconded that the Health and Wellbeing Board Annual Report 2024-2025 be approved. Is that agreed? Thank you. Item 11, motion on notice. Colleagues, you will see there are 3 motions on notice on today's agenda. Can I ask Councillor Guy Aston to introduce the first motion? Councillor Aston, please.
Chair, colleagues, the motion of no confidence is about one simple truth. The people of Doncaster were hoodwinked in May. The Labour Mayor built a re-election campaign around Doncaster Sheffield Airport. Her leaflets, her speeches, her publicity all carried the same message: vote for me and you'll soon be flying out on holiday from DSA again. People were led to believe the flights would return next year in 2026. We know they told us repeatedly on the doorstep they'll be off to Mallorca from Donny next summer. In fact, as I recall, I asked the Mayor at the last full council, where will the aircraft be going in 2026? I was told the information was confidential, not that they would not be flying at all. But what is the reality? Not next year, and probably not the year after. Mayor Coppard tells us 2028, a fact he claims has been known for months. That truth was hidden from voters, and let's be honest, if the people had been told the truth, if they had been told they'd be waiting until possibly 2028 at the earliest to fly, it's very likely that the Mayor of Doncaster would still be a Jones, Alexander Jones. The election was that close. The result in May's election was obtained by withholding the real state of affairs from voters. Now, this matters because trust is the foundation of democracy. To restore the public's confidence in politics and our democratic institutions, it is essential that they are told the truth. People cast their votes in good faith, but their faith was exploited. The Mayor claims a mandate she never truly earned, and it matters because delay has real consequences. People expected jobs to be created in 2026. I think a figure of 5,000 was being bandied. Businesses would be attracted to Doncaster, and no longer would families travel for hours to other airports. That is what they voted for 2026. Colleagues, Doncaster deserves honesty, it deserves urgency, and it deserves leadership that delivers, not one that misleads. That is why I propose this motion of no confidence. I commend this motion to the Council. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Rachel Reid, I understand you are seconding this motion. Councillor Reid, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. I second this motion because the people of Doncaster were misled at the ballot box. The Mayor claims she was working at pace. She allowed people to believe that within a year they'd be flying off on holiday from Doncaster Sheffield Airport. That was the impression. That was the hope she cultivated, but it was false. The truth is now clear. The airport will not reopen until 2028 at the earliest. 6 years of delay. And that truth was never disclosed before the election. If it had been, I have no doubt that the result would have been different. Alexander would have been Mayor, because the people would have known the truth. This is not a minor detail. It goes to the heart of political integrity. When an election is won on a false prospectus, democracy is weakened. When the people's hopes are used as campaign props, only for those hopes to be dashed, trust in politics itself is eroded. And it is not just about trust. Every delay has an economic cost. Every year the airport remains shut is another year of lost jobs, lost investment, and lost opportunity for Doncaster. To pretend otherwise is an insult to the people who were promised progress. Colleagues, confidence in leadership is earned through honesty and delivery. This Mayor has delivered neither. That is why I second this vote of no confidence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Councillor Glyn Jones.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Colleagues, I find it unbelievable that this motion has been put forward today. Last week, it was widely recognised that the decision made by South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority to unanimously grant City of Doncaster Council funding of up to £160 million to press ahead with the work to reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport, marking another major milestone in the campaign to fully reopen our airport and bring aviation back to the South Yorkshire region. The journey so far has not been easy. It's not been a stroll in the park. It's taken dogged, hard work and determination to get to where we are at. If decisions made outside of our control had been made sooner, we would have been in a much better position and stronger position to reopen the airport earlier. Moreover, much has been achieved to date. The Council acquired the land and assets through a 125-year-long lease. The setting up of Fly Doncaster as a council-owned entity to operate the airport, alongside Munich Airport International, our strategic partners, progress on the Civil Aviation Authority regulatory process for the reinstatement of the airspace and air corridors, and the aerodrome licence. Work is moving at pace to get the airport fully up and running as soon as possible. As you can imagine, this is a challenging and complex process with a great many factors to take into account, which certainly isn't helped by cheap political games and stunts such as this. However, the fact of the matter is that Mayor Ros Jones has been determined, resolute and unyielding in bringing the opening of the airport one step nearer, generating greater investment, opportunity and prosperity for the residents of Doncaster by creating and maintaining good, highly skilled and well-paid jobs, circulating and recycling the Donny Pound. Without Mayor Ros Jones, who has been a force majeure in this venture, DSA would have been like so many other closed regional airports, defunct and desolate, probably dug up and excavated for the valuable natural mineral resource deposits that are underneath the runway. Ros has fought tooth and nail for our airport when some purely saw it as a political issue and wanted to be seen doing everything they could, in fact, by doing nothing. And at the same time spread lies and misinformation in an effort to advance their own opportunist political careers. It has been Mayor Jones and this council who have done the hard yards to get to this position we are at now. With the funding agreed and with everything going to plan, then we will see freight flights returning to Doncaster in summer 2026 and passenger flights on sale before the end of next year for holidays from Doncaster for the winter 27-28 season. The weeks and months ahead will decide whether Reform are going to get on board with and support the reopening of our airport, or whether they're going to try and get in the way and cause the very delay that they are whinging, whining and complaining about. Be steadfast is the City of Doncaster's civic crest motto and epitomises Ros Jones perfectly. I am glad to say that under the leadership of Mayor Ros Jones, this project is going to happen and we will fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport as soon as possible. I will not be supporting your motion.
Thank you, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor James Church, please.
I was hoping that last week's decision to release gain share funding for the airport would focus the minds of everyone in this chamber to finally get behind what is a vital opportunity for our city and people. When the funding was officially announced, it was clear it was a popular decision in Doncaster, and Doncaster was in the headlines for all the right reasons. I was personally delighted not just for all those who have worked tirelessly to make this happen, but also for those who used to work at the airport and those people who want to work at our airport. We can now see the light at the end of the tunnel for those who were displaced or lost their jobs. We promised to stand by them 3 years ago, and this Labour-controlled council have fulfilled that promise. Now, I don't want to get involved in public disagreements about this. I think we're all tired of the political football the airport has become. It is now time to move beyond mindless political point scoring. So I'd just like you to consider a few things prior to voting for this motion. We need to show investors and businesses on a local, regional, national and international level that they can have confidence in Doncaster. This motion has the potential to damage that image and could jeopardise the very private sector investors that we are trying to attract, not just for the airport, but for the wider regeneration of our communities across the city of Doncaster. The motion even recognises that this is merely a political expression, but you could send a completely different message, that everyone in this chamber is here to deliver a better future for the residents and businesses of Doncaster, and that is the responsible thing to do. This motion serves no purpose. It will deliver nothing other than cheap headlines. I've had a few residents get in touch with me asking what this motion would do, whether it would force another mayoral election. When they heard my response in that it would change absolutely nothing, their response was, surely, that's just a waste of time. What is the point of putting forward a motion then? So there you have it. You're wasting your own time, wasting our time, wasting valuable officer time with a motion that will do absolutely nothing. We should be focused on ensuring that the airport is a success. In years to come, we can look back and say that this council stepped forward to save and reopen our airport, delivering the strong regional airport that we all know it can be and should be, and truly transforming our Doncaster and South Yorkshire economy and delivering the opportunities the city and the region are desperate for. That is what we all should be here for in this chamber, and that is what we should all be remembered for. I hope everyone votes against this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Church. Councillor Kidd, please.
The council should have confidence in the mayor. I can't imagine anyone else getting the programme to reopen the airport to this stage at this time with the many barriers and complexities in the way. This issue is now being used as a political football, and Reform should be very careful of what that means in the real world. If they want the airport and Doncaster to succeed, they could present a united front on this issue with us. Of course, the details will be scrutinised, and they should be, and they have been. However, we need potential investors in Doncaster to see that we are all serious politicians. I'm strongly against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jane Cox, please.
I've stood in this chamber for the past 3 years and asked the Mayor countless times to be truthful to the residents of Finningley Ward, many of whom are making life decisions on her words. People have put houses on the market. People have not had children. Massive, massive decisions because they don't know what's going to happen. She has misled our residents time and time again, and it is just not acceptable. She has asked us as Finningley Ward councillors to make this non-political, but our whole election campaign was based on this one matter. There are many, many unanswered questions that residents and fellow councillors deserve the answers to. The gain share funding risks Doncaster and its future projects for the next 30 years. Not Barnsley, not Sheffield, and not Rotherham. So no wonder they sat there and nodded it through. No wonder this town, it just deserves the truth, Ross. Everybody deserves the truth.
Thank you. Councillor Khan, please.
Thank you, Chair. In my opinion, this motion is a waste of time. It's a waste of officer time.
the public's time and council's time. Mayor Jones was democratically elected in May, and it appears that Reform are trying to circumvent that decision which the people of Doncaster took. As councillors, we should be trying to promote British values of democracy, the rule of law, and individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance. And this motion goes completely against all of that. The motion doesn't change anything, as is acknowledged in the motion itself. And I'd ask Reform councillors to at least abstain, if not vote, against this waste of time. Thank you.
Councillor Nick Allen, please.
Is it on? Yeah. I do agree with some of the sentiments you've expressed in this motion, but I'd just like to point out that, frankly, if the truth were known, there's one politician in the town who's done more work than anybody, and that's Nick Fletcher. And if the truth was known, actually he would be mayor, not in fact Alexander Jones. Other than that, I'm proud and pleased to vote for it.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Councillor Sue Farmer, please.
Thank you, Chair. This motion is pointless. It's a complete waste of time, and it's simply designed to distract from the mess of their own group. Ros, I admire your strength and tenacity to push through despite the hurdles that are thrown at you. And that you always have the whole of Doncaster at heart. Reform speak of misleading information, but let's look at some of their figures from the election in relation to council debt. Yes, the council has debt over 420 million. However, what they fail to mention, and I would argue were purposeful, misleading, in that they fail to acknowledge, over 70% of debt is attributed to council housing, which provides low-cost housing for over 19,000 Doncaster residents and families, with the second lowest council house rents in Yorkshire and one of the lowest across the country. Debt attributed to the council housing is paid through social housing rents and not by council taxpayers. A simple way of explaining this is to think of borrowing as a buy-per-let mortgage held by the council. City of Doncaster Council has 1.8 billion in assets, including over 19,000 council houses, schools, leisure centres, libraries and community centres. Under the leadership of Mayor Ros Jones, Doncaster is the lowest council tax in Yorkshire and one of the lowest in the country. Doncaster Council, City Council, spend in the region of 80 million per year. Council may not know, but as well as being a councillor and a cabinet member, I'm also a qualified accountant. And I know when you look at any personal household or business debt that you have to take into account income and the ability to pay a loan or debt, as well as assets against that debt. This council is and has been financially well managed under the leadership of Mayor Ros Jones. As a council, we have assets that could wipe off this debt instantly. However, to achieve that, we would need to sell a large number of council housing, sell off some of our leisure and community centres or libraries, close and sell off some of our schools or sell off some of our parks and green spaces. So I would like to say that reform election literature was misleading, or are they going to come forward and tell our communities that they intend to sell off community facilities that they rely upon? This motion needs throwing out. It's not worth the paper it's written on. I have full confidence in Mayor Ros Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Councillor Nevitt, please.
Thank you, Chair. I feel I need to speak up and against this motion. To put forward a motion of no confidence is ridiculous. The elected Mayor of Doncaster has just secured the funding of up to another £160 million towards investing into a major project in Doncaster for the benefit of Doncaster residents. The airport project and all its spin-offs supporting employment opportunities is a testament to the council, its officers, and the dedication of Mayor Jones to invest and enhance job opportunities in Doncaster. Time after time, opposition have tried to undermine the fantastic work that goes on behind the scenes to get this major project moving forward. There has been masses of social media posts by people also trying to undermine the progress too. I now honour those who are the silent majority who want an airport functioning in Doncaster and have the patience to wait for their flights to holiday destinations which are coming. Freight will happen first, and with full training starting to happen, air traffic controllers, baggage handlers, customs and security, aircrew, pilots and engineers will be up to speed and holiday flights can then begin. This project is happening and the airport will reopen. Trying to score points inside and outside the council chamber is really boring to those who are patient and have the wherewithal to know that Doncaster is a fantastic place to live and work. This will enhance the jobs and opportunities which will be offered when the airport ramps up and starts to work for our residents. Many others from outside Doncaster are waiting for this opportunity too, to use the Finningley Doncaster site as well. The oppositions should be celebrating the progress being made by Mayor Jones and her team and being supportive, as I am sure that they will use most of the facilities in future too. Also, I would hope their families would benefit from the jobs and opportunities which will arrive in the investment zone and the surrounding area. The Mayor's intention was that the airport and site would reopen as soon as possible. Whilst dates were hoped for, national airspace regulations have to be adhered to, and these are not in the control of the council. Route planning has to have a lead time too, and this, coupled with training staff, can take time. To force a decision of an opening date is not constructive nor feasible, and the opposition know this, but they still try to force a resolution of a date, even if that is not possible. We cannot plan for every eventuality, and we do not have the proverbial crystal ball. I am just as committed to an airport as I am to my villages of Kirksandall and Edenthorpe. I want my residents to benefit from the training, employment, jobs and investment into Doncaster that this project will deliver. Reform councillors bringing this motion are having a laugh, but we are on the Labour bench and council staff are doing their best for Doncaster in fulfilling meetings and making progress on real issues. To reopen an airport in such a short time scale is fantastic and a testament to council officers and Mayor Jones's dedication. At this time, the council opposition should not be bringing this as a motion. This council should be offering congratulations on a historic investment and radiating confidence for the future. This motion is trash. I oppose it and hope it is withdrawn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I gave other members their courtesy not talking over their speeches. I'd expect the same in return. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'd like to draw members' attention to point 11 of this motion, which states, for the avoidance of doubt, that this resolution is an expression of the Council's political position. It does not remove the Mayor from office, alter the Mayor's statutory powers, or contravene the Local Government Act 2000. Reform obviously has a majority in terms of councillors, and so in reference to point 11, we know what the likely outcome will be. This is just an attempt at political point scoring. Councillor Aston and his party will likely revel in the news story that will come after this motion, instead of focusing on delivering for their constituents. Point 12 in this motion would seek to communicate the resolution to the Mayor, who is obviously in the room with us, as well as Simca and the Secretary of State for Transport. Simca and the Department for Transport are obviously close and vital partners in the reopening of our airport and know how vital Ros's leadership has been for the past 3 years. By far the most damaging thing that could have happened to our chances of reopening the airport would have been the election of Reform's mayoral candidate. Indeed, Councillor Aston, you were correct when you were quoted in the Free Press as saying, "I think many of the people of Doncaster would rather have seen a slightly more mature candidate." They did, and Ros Jones, as historic fourth term as our democratically elected mayor, will run until May 2029. I do think Reform and the Tories live in another world if they think their candidates in May would have done any better. Reform's mayoral candidate didn't even mention the airport in his candidate unveiling speech. It is so easy to whinge, whine, complain and undermine without providing any other alternative view or plan for the airport. It is the easy thing to do. If reopening the airport was easy, it would have been done 3 years ago. The hard thing to do is to provide leadership over such a major issue for our city. Discussion on this motion has lasted 25 minutes so far, with many more speakers to come, no doubt. And the agenda has many more important items to come. Councillor Aston himself has a motion on solar energy. My colleague, Councillor Cobby, has a very important motion on IVF treatment. Many of Councillor Aston's colleagues have important questions to ask of the Mayor and Cabinet. If Councillor Aston's party truly values efficiency in local government, he'd have not submitted this pointless student politics motion.
Thank you. Councillor Samet, please.
Thank you, Chair. Like most of us in this room, I have not been a councillor for that long. However, since May, I have witnessed Mayor Jones keep to her election promise by securing £160 million worth of funding required to fully reopen the Doncaster-Sheffield Airport. This is what our Mayor promised, and this is what she has delivered. So I thank her for her continued commitment to the good people of Doncaster, and I will therefore be voting against this motion, and I fully back the work of Mayor Ros Jones. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bob Anderson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Personally, I think this motion is all about playing party politics and grabbing headlines, just like the failed flag motion. I really do think that the public would rather the Reform councillors would just concentrate on doing their jobs for the residents in the wards they were elected in. I am on committees and outside bodies with Reform councillors and can see that some haven't yet got the confidence to contribute and ask questions. And I have also myself given advice on ward work and how to represent and engage with residents when asked. I totally understand what it's like to be a new councillor. I was one myself just over 4 years ago. It's daunting, and I certainly haven't got all the answers now. That's why I think the leader and deputy leader of Reform should concentrate on building on the confidence of their councillors and helping them to get to the grips on the jobs they were elected to do and give the residents of Doncaster the representation they deserve, instead of asking them to vote and playing party politics and headline-grabbing motions. So regarding this motion, what do Reform expect it to change? It absolutely has no power or impact. Are they simply wanting to waste time and cause the very delay they're complaining about? What I do know is that the airport has been a regular topic, both in ward surgeries and on the doorstep for over 3 years. Mayor Ross has been determined from day one and championed the saving and reopening of our airport, despite considerable opposition from all sides. Reform didn't even commit to the airport in their election literature. They jumped on the bandwagon at the last minute. The drive and determination of Mayor Ross, alongside the sheer hard work of this council under the leadership of Ross, has brought us to where we are today, with the funding signed off last week, not just to deliver a fully functioning airport, but to deliver a hub for aviation-related industry and all the opportunities it will bring for our Doncaster residents and businesses. I'm certainly looking forward to flying from Doncaster on my holidays once again. For those that vote in favour of this motion, you are simply playing party politics. I have full confidence in our Mayor, as I know that no one has worked harder on reopening the airport, and not for herself, but solely for the residents of Doncaster. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Stephen Barnett, please.
I'll be succinct, which I'm sure the Chamber will be grateful for. The Labour Cabinet opposite talk about wasting time and being steadfast. while the Mayor is steadfastly wasting both time and £160 million of taxpayers' money on a project she has no control over, experience to facilitate, or ability to deliver on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Guest, please.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. I have no more to add than what my colleagues have already said, specifically regarding the airport. But I would just like to say I have full confidence in our Mayor, Ros Jones. Her commitment is unquestionable. Her dedication is beyond doubt. Her experience speaks for itself. And her steadfastness is unwavering. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dobson, please.
Councillor?
Sorry. Councillor Jackson, my apologies. Councillor Dobson does not exist.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I've listened to everything that's gone on here, and I applaud that you're all reading from a script, which is a good thing. What I'm going to say is coming from the heart. Throughout my lifetime, I was always told, tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth, then you're a bad person. I honestly believe that during the election process, the electorate were duped and were told, shall we say, not the truth. My own daughter and her partner purposely said to me, yes, we did vote for Ros Jones, but if we'd have known the airport weren't open, we wouldn't have done it. And that, to me, is where the trust has been broken. You go about saying what Ros has achieved over the years. I accept that, and I applaud it to a certain extent. But here, this was trust, and this was misrepresentation. She showed contempt for the electorate. And I'm sorry, I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Dobson. Councillor Wood, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've just jotted some things down because I've listened to this. First of all, I think everybody on that side, except for one, has praised the Mayor, so congratulations. I think you've done a really good job in supporting the Mayor. However, to say that we're using it as a reform as some political challenge, let's bear in mind that every mayor and leader of the council that supported this airport were all Labour. Saying that we're trying to get political support out of it or presence, Keir Starmer tried to divert Peter Mandelson's argument with the use of Doncaster Airport. Yeah. So let's get things right. We sat in a meeting after Oliver told everybody that we were going to be opening the airport, which were good to hear from one of the directors of the council. It was said in that meeting that Doncaster is going to see the Donny pound is going to get £9 from everywhere else back. It's since been said it's going to be nearer £2. When she said it was going to be £9, she said that we're going to be looking at a double-digit fee payback. If it's reduced by a quarter, the pound, that double digit's going to be as long as lease before we're going to get payback out of it. So just to remind everybody what we're talking about with this motion, it's not about what a great thing Ros has done in everybody's eyes from the side that supports her. It's about being hoodwinked in representing people of Doncaster that the airport was going to open unequivocally with Ros Jones in charge. One of your own associates agreed that the airport was the biggest thing that was talked about on the doorsteps. So it goes to show the power of the airport in everybody's minds when they've actually gone out to vote. The airport was a big decider. I mean, we just heard from Councillor Jackson, who's actually a Reform councillor. I'm sure Councillor Dobson were going to be another Labour councillor supporting Ros as well, but unfortunately never turned up, did he? We're talking about money being spent well. We've got these DSA. It is a great name, and I would like to think that it's going to be successful. But we've also got EMA, which is East Midlands. There's a potential legal challenge from them because they just invested £100 million, I think, in a new freight hub. And now Doncaster Council, using public money, is going to be opening a freight up, which is totally against the rights of competition. We've got LBA, which is Leeds Bradford Airport. They could be looking at a legal challenge because they've just spent millions of pounds on a new passenger hub. And they're not happy that the people of Doncaster are going to be paying for an airport. It should be a commercial incentive, not people of the public. We've talked earlier about the marketplace. We can't even run a marketplace. Can't run a marketplace. I've got an idea for the spare. When Santa moves out of his grotto, we could turn that into maybe a travel agents supporting Doncaster Airport. And going back to Minerva's shut. It has been shut for a long time. Doncaster Town Centre's dying. You can go through Frenchgate Centre. There's more and more shops shutting in Frenchgate Centre. Only thing that's opening is vape shops and barbers. So unless we're going to throw all our money at vape shops and barbers, I think the airport is definitely something that should not be taken into consideration as Doncaster people for why we should have this mayor. And I support this resolution.
Thank you. Councillor Ransom, please.
Thank you, Chair. At long last, I waited. I find the motion, or I rather find the attitude of the Labour Party rather disingenuous towards reform, more or less implying that they're wasting time, when I think most of the time is being wasted by, 10 people all saying virtually the same thing. So I think that as far as the reform people are concerned, at least they are coming out with some valid points. It's obviously you're all scripted, and it's not one little bit sort of genuine at all. I also remember when Peter Davis was in power, he couldn't open his mouth before he'd got a sort of a motion in saying a vote of no confidence. So let's really be fair. You talk about working together, but there's no thing of working together. It's you're right and everybody else is wrong.
Thank you. Mayor Ross.
Let me make this very simple for you. I'm not going anywhere. This motion is nothing more than a party political performative waste of time. It holds no power and will not change a thing. I was voted in for an historic full term as a directly elected mayor to serve all the residents of Doncaster. I therefore respect the democratic mandate I have been given. So what I can also say is that I respect the exercising of the same democratic franchise that saw reform councillors voted in, as I would do any councillors irrespective of their party allegiance. Guy, I took your words seriously when you said that you had no interest in cheap stunts and wanted to be a serious party and not a protest opposition. This motion appears to prove otherwise. As a party, are you serious about collaborating when we can put the interests of Doncaster, or are you going to be nothing more than a party of protest for the next 4 years? If we are to have 4 years of messy political bun-fighting and obstruction by the opposition, then ultimately it will be the people of Doncaster who suffer, and I do not want that to happen. I've always stated that I want to work cross-party wherever I can, to find common ground in the interests of Doncaster by putting Doncaster first. I'm not here for career gain. My focus first and foremost is the city of Doncaster, delivering improvements for the residents and businesses of Doncaster. I've challenged and criticised my own party and will continue to do when I believe necessary. Yes, I was elected as a Labour mayor, but my loyalty first and foremost is to the residents and businesses of Doncaster. I do hope that over the next 4 years that reform councillors locally will learn to put party politics to one side wherever possible, to work constructively with me, my cabinet and this council. There are big challenges that this council is facing, like virtually all councils across the country. These big issues include adult and children's social care, SEND and homelessness. I was democratically elected by the Doncaster electorate to lead the City of Doncaster. Reopening Doncaster Sheffield Airport is my #1 priority. I've already explained the reasoning for the delay at the beginning of this meeting, but I'm certain you can't have listened properly. We are talking about the largest single investment in Doncaster for more than a generation. Has it been easy? No. Will there be more challenges to overcome? Yes, possibly. If you seriously think that a reform mayor would have been able to work with South Yorkshire leaders to get the deal over the line as I did last week, then dream on. Reform didn't even mention the airport until late into the campaign. I seem to remember your commitment to the airport was limp at best. Initially, you said that you would have to review the numbers first before committing. And then, about a week later, you said that you would scrap net zero to reopen the airport. Then, a further week later, Reform came out and agreed with me that the airport can be the jewel in the crown of our economy. Talk about flip-flopping. Both you, Guy and Rachel, were in attendance at the momentous South Yorkshire MCA board meeting last week to witness the approval of funds required to fully reopen our airport. And now you are here in an attempt to make this a political football, but you have failed to score. This motion before us today, alongside the silly flag motion from the previous meeting, do nothing but provide evidence that Reform are unable to work constructively with others. So let me make this perfectly clear. I'm not going anywhere. I've been democratically elected to lead the City of Doncaster, and that is what I will do. Thank you.
Councillor Cobby, please.
Just a point, I've not got a script, so you can't add me onto that one. And I echo Roz's words on that one and support Roz fully. Just want to make a point of, like, kind of odd, kind of, not exactly formal point of order, but I just want to make note that anyone can speak on a motion. So if we're all speaking, that's because we are able to and you're able to too. So you can just say you want to, like, click your button and comment on the motion. But secondly as well, I think Roz has added is, I'm quite confused what Reform's position is on the airport and understanding this motion. So do Reform want the airport open or not?
Councillor Cox, please.
Thank you. In not playing politics, we haven't played politics, I think, as you know, Ross, because we were asked not to. Am I right? You can nod if you want. But we were asked not to play politics. We haven't played politics. We have kept everything going as it's supposed to go. We have been asked, we have asked you, in person and officers, for information to share with our residents that we were elected to represent. Have we received any? No. We have, the only people that have played politics on this is, I'm sorry, the Labour group. And I find it absolutely unbelievable to the point that where we are now, you have refused to give us information. You have refused for information to be shared with our residents that we are elected to represent. All of it is just absolute rubbish. And to save any time, can we just move to the vote, Chair?
There are further people to speak, and it is this chamber's role and responsibility to listen to everybody. So, although I agree it has been a long debate, it is the role of this chamber for that to happen. So I would like to invite Nicola Brown, please.
Just my point I want to make is that we were all democratically voted in to, you know, work with the people and everything, and our main interest is helping people and the community and everything. But I don't see a reflection on the cabinet or anywhere that reflects the whole democratically elected council. It's just purely Labour. which is, I don't think that is what the people of Doncaster would have voted for. I think they would have wanted it to be all, you know, everybody gets all the information they need. The cabinet is made up of the ratio of what the people of Doncaster wanted, and that, you know, that to me is democracy. Not having one party, the minority party maybe, or the one after that, with all the say, with all the cabinet, and not giving us any information. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Aston, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
If I may, Chair. Excuse me. Well, I've learnt a lot about the airport tonight, I'll tell you that much. This motion was about democracy. It was not about the airport. It was about democracy. It was about what people were given during the election. Promises were made and they have not been kept. And the evidence from Mayor Coppard is it had been known for several months that the airport would not be opening. If it had known several months, it would be at least 27, 28. So this is very much about democracy. It's not about the airport. It's about someone achieving votes in a very closely won competition by making a promise that we suspect was known could not be kept. It's a massive project. We were told in this room only a couple of weeks ago that these decisions take a long time. It's a slow-moving process. People didn't suddenly think overnight, oh, it won't be 26, it's going to be 28. It has been known. Yes, Rachel Reid and myself, Councillor Reid, did go to the board meeting. Upon arriving, it may have been a board meeting, but according to all the banners hanging around, it was the Oliver Coppard show. It was, I thought, very, very poor taste. But no, this motion is about democracy, it's about winning elections and actually portraying the truth as it really is. It is as simple as that. It has nothing to do with the airport per se. I look forward to flying out to Mallorca from DSA. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We shall now move to the vote. Can I remind members not to press your buttons until I have opened the vote, and please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Please either press the green button for yes to support the motion, the red button for no to not support it, and a white button to abstain. I am now opening the vote. Okay, thank you. Let's close the vote. There is the outcome. So we've got 38 in favour of the motion, no abstentions and 14 against. So the motion is carried. We now move on to item 12, which again is a motion. Councillor Aston, I understand you are proposing the second motion in today's agenda regarding the installation of solar panels. Can I ask you to introduce and propose your motion to Council?
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, I feel a little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm back. However, a few weeks ago, I walked along a country lane outside Conisbrough and reached the edge of a field to view the site of a proposed solar farm. The scenery was breathtaking, reminiscent of a John Constable painting, actually. I could see for a mile and a half before the landscape disappeared over a distant ridge. In the foreground, fields of crops flourished, while in the far distance, farmers were busy harvesting. Although a hedge blocked my view of Conisbrough and its castle, what lay before me is what is known as Conisbrough Park. Originally, this park served as the hunting ground for the De Warrens, who built Conisbrough Castle. Today, it offers a natural retreat for social and mental health groups, as well as walkers and people who just simply want to enjoy the countryside on a sunny day. So, where's the solar farm going, I asked, unaware of the implications. You're looking at it, came the response. Everything I saw, and that which I couldn't see, would be covered in black panels, extending all the way up to the distant ridge. I found it hard to believe, but I was soon assured of the facts. A huge part of Doncaster's green belt was on the brink of being transformed into an expanse of glass. The word that came to mind was vandalism, and on an unprecedented scale. I then learned from these self-same people that Doncaster, our home city, one which we all claim very much to love, was set to be encircled by these things, encircled by them. And that's why I'm bringing my motion today. It may not carry legal weight, but it establishes a moral position for Doncaster and its people. Councillors of all persuasions, we must stop these vandals. We must stop this desecration of Doncaster's countryside. I commend this motion to the Council.
Thank you, Councillor Aston. Councillor Rachel Reid is seconding this motion. Councillor Reid, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Aston. I am pleased to second this motion. Our farmland and countryside are amongst Doncaster's greatest assets. They provide food, support wildlife and give local people valuable green space for health and well-being. Once these areas are given over to the large-scale solar farms, they are lost to agriculture and the character of our communities is changed forever. This motion offers a common-sense alternative. Rooftops, car parks and brownfield land are all underused spaces which are far better suited to solar panels. We have already seen successful examples across Europe of solar canopies on car parks and panels on buildings producing clean energy without sacrificing farmland. By adopting this approach, Doncaster can support renewable energy whilst protecting our countryside and ensuring farmland remains available for food production. It is a balanced, practical solution and I am proud to second it.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Mayor Wells.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that the motion before us implies that reformed councillors are supportive of net zero and agree that the use of renewable energy sources such as solar power is critical in meeting the UK's net zero commitments and tackling climate change. I'm disappointed that you went back on your word when it was initially agreed for me to second the motion before us. This could have been a prime example of cross-party working and establishing common ground. It is to that end, and that in the interest of finding political common ground, I would like to propose an amendment as per the draft that I will ask to be handed out to you now. Could that be handed out, please? If council and political group leaders are happy to support this, and then group leaders can jointly sign the letter with me, I will be supporting this motion. I am a firm believer that solar panels should be on rooftops first and foremost and not on productive farmland. I welcome the proposed legislation changes by government, meaning house builders will be required to fit solar panels to the vast majority of new build homes in England from 2027. You will see that the proposal is simply item 5, and that is that the Council's Chief Executive writes to the relevant government ministers informing them of the outcome of this motion and that the letter be countersigned by such council group leaders who wish to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Do we have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Anderson.
Can I just raise a point of order, Chair? It's just come to me, actually, because obviously this will go to planning. So how do planning committee members, because we're not supposed to prejudge, yeah, so...
Turn your microphone off. The motion as it's currently written and indeed incorporating the amendment that's been proposed by your group won't affect your role as planning committee members. It doesn't have that force. We're not suggesting it's a change to council policy. It's talking about writing to government, expressing a view from a council. If we were going to be talking about that, we would have given you advice in advance, councillor, and other members of planning committee. So it isn't an issue for you at this point in time. But thank you for raising the question.
Thank you, Scott. Do we have a seconder for the amendment, please? Ken?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would like to second the amendment that Mayor Ross has put forward in the interest of cross-party collaboration and to show that despite our political differences, we can find common ground. I worked in the coal mining industry for 17 years, 14 of them years spent at the coal face. Doncaster, like many northern towns, fuelled the nation's energy for generations. I regularly hear the argument that we should reopen the coal mines. Of course, I have very fond memories of the communities that were formed around the coal mines. However, modern coal mining practices are very different, with the majority now being massive open cast mines, rather than the pit mining we remember around here. To provide some context for that, the Rolleston mine in Australia is an open cast mine covering a total area of 36,000 hectares. This is almost 60% the size of the whole of Doncaster. As I am sure most people in this chamber will know, the coal seams across Doncaster and South Yorkshire are fairly deep, roughly between 500 and 800 metres deep. These were deep pit coal mines and are no longer the most common method of coal mining around the world. Now that they are closed, it would be more than likely not be economical or viable to reopen them. We know as a society that we need to tackle climate change. Doncaster has faced significant flooding in recent years. We want to play our part in tackling climate change, but we also want to ensure we can feed the nation. Food self-sufficiency has gone from nearly 80% in the 80s to just over 60% today. I fully support the installation of solar panels on rooftops and brownfield land. We need a common sense approach to net zero that takes people with us, investing in energy efficiency and property insulation, whilst also providing homegrown cheap electricity and driving down bills. I fully support this motion and second the amendment from Mayor Ross-Jones. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to have an adjournment to take in what's been suggested as a change? Okay then, so I'm just going to go back now to say that we're not going to adjourn. People have said that we'll move progress unless people say otherwise. And so now we need to debate the change. Yes, you are. You have. And we'll come into that now. So, but it's Councillor Ransom first. So can I invite It's Councillor Ransom first next to speak. In terms of an adjournment, yes, but you need a proposer and a seconder. But can I, before we just move into that, can we deal with the First Amendment? Because it's been moved that we just accept what it is. So.
For the First Amendment.
I love it.
Procedurally, we're going to deal with the First Amendment first. So we're going to talk about that, or I'm proposing that the Chair will suggest that you talk about that, and then there'll be a vote on that. At that point in time, if Councillor Ransom wishes to propose an amendment, then she could do that. If it's a long amendment, it would be good if she wrote it down so that we have an opportunity to understand it and circulate it to members. And at that point in time, depending on what Councillor Ransom is proposing, it might be appropriate that either of the other groups want to have a time to discuss that. So can we deal with the First Amendment? We'll vote at the point that you've considered finished talking about the First Amendment. We can vote on that amendment. That will either stand or fall, and then Councillor Ransom proposes her amendment at that point in time. Does that make sense, Councillor? I don't want really to have one amendment, have an adjournment, have a further amendment, have a further adjournment. It wouldn't make sense.
Okay, let's discuss the first. amendment? Okay. I did ask if the adjournment was needed for the first one, and the answer was no. However, so we moved on. So that's what we've agreed. So, does anybody wish to speak on the proposed amendment number 1? Steve, your light's showing. Do you wish to speak?
It has been something I think that Councillor Cole used to get a bit confused about. I didn't think I was confusing things. I thought I was just asking that we can adjourn to discuss this amendment and then come back and see what other amendments come forward from there. I thought that was pretty simple. If we keep discussing something without discussing it with our colleagues, we're not going to come up with an answer.
Okay, Steve, I accept that argument, and so we will adjourn for 5 minutes to discuss the first amendment. So, Reform councillors, can you remain in the chamber, and Conservative and Labour colleagues return to their rooms, and can I ask all members of the general public that they go out into the foyer? Thank you. 5 minutes. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. We've adjourned and come back, and we're at a stage now where I'm opening to the floor to see if anybody has any questions on the proposal. Okay, so now we need to go to voting on the amendment. Please remind members not to press your buttons until I've opened the vote, and please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Please either press green to vote yes, red to vote no, or white to abstain. I am now opening the vote. Okay, that's good. I'm going to close the vote. Okay, so 13 yes, 0 abstentions, and 39 against the proposal. Okay, thank you. So now we move on to the second amendment. Has the amendment been shared?
Councillor Ranson, do you wish to?
Oh yes, sorry, Councillor Ranson, do you wish to introduce it? Sorry, I'm of my haste.
My button's on. The second amendment is just to go between 1 and 2, and confirming that the views of local residents be consulted upon future solar farm proposals. That's it, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Amendment? Councillor Allen?
I'll second Cynthia's amendment, just to reiterate that consulting local people is always very important.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody wish to speak on the motion? Does anybody? Oh, I'll give people a couple of seconds to read it, and then I was going to say, do we need to adjourn again for people to collect their response? At this point then, no one's asked for a further adjournment, so can I ask if anybody wants to speak on the second proposal? Are people happy to move to the vote?
On the amendment.
On the amendment? Okay, let's do that then.
Councillor Khan appears to be doing something.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Khan.
Sorry, Chair, I don't think I heard you. Did you ask if there's any speakers on the amendment? Yeah, I welcome what Councillor Bransom has said, but I'd just like to point out that through the planning framework, the opinions of local residents are already there and are represented. So it's already there within planning framework and planning policy.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. Oh, gosh, this screen's not very good today, sorry. Councillor Chris Kidger, please.
Yes, while I take on board what's just been said, many of these projects will not go through planning. They'll be national infrastructure. And I think it's good to make it plain this council's position on these projects, irrespective of national infrastructure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kidger. Okay, so let's move to a vote then. Can I remind members not to press your buttons until I have opened the vote, and please be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Please either press green to vote yes, red to vote no, or white to abstain. I will open the vote. Okay, thank you. Close the vote. Okay, there we have it. So 50 votes yes, 1 abstention and 1 no. So the motion is carried. The amendment, sorry, not the motion.
Anybody else want to speak?
Does anybody else want to speak on it? Councillor Steve Cox.
Thank you. I'd just like to make the point of what actually cross-party working can and does do. Thank you.
Before I ask Councillor Basson for his right to reply, does anybody else wish to speak? Okay, thank you. Councillor Aston.
My reply is quite simple. I thank those who have helped carry the motion. Thank you all.
We have not voted on the motion. We voted on the amendment to the motion.
I'll do my Schwarzenegger bit again. I'm back. Yes, I would thank all those who have supported and carried the amendment forward. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, so now we shall move to the vote on the motion with its agreed amendments. Can I remind members not to press, I'm going to say this 20 times, aren't I, today? Can I remind members not to press their buttons until I have opened the vote, and be aware that your vote will not count when the vote has been closed. Please either press green for yes, red for no, and white to abstain. I am now opening the vote. Oh, there's been a bit of a technical issue, I'm not quite sure. Can we reset the vote? Yeah. Reset it. So, yes, gosh. I think the RT is overheating, isn't it? So, I will open the vote again. Yes, I think I'm maybe the culprit in this because my microphone was still on, and I think that might be the issue. So apologies, I wasn't aware of that fact. So for the third and final time, please let's do the vote.
School. Put your hand up if you're in favour.
Okay. In the absence of IT, we will go old school. Yes, I'm sure that this will be favourable of across the chamber. So all those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. I would suggest that is a unanimous vote. Is it not? Sorry. Oh, I can't see. Sorry. Let's do the counting first.
Go for abstainers.
Okay. Have we counted?
We'll subtract. We'll subtract. Go for the abstainers.
Oh, Andrew. Sorry. Keep your hands up.
Those who want to vote now and do abstentions.
Okay. It's counting now. Sorry.
Chair, if it helps, I'm abstaining and everyone else is in favour, I believe.
Right, okay. We'll accept that, so thank you.
Chair, I'm abstaining.
Yes, I record your abstention, Majid. Thank you for that. So I would say that the motion is carried. So thank you, everybody, and for your patience with the IT. Item 13. Motion on notice. We come to the final motion on today's agenda regarding proposed changes to arrangements for IVF treatments. Can I ask Councillor Gemma Cobby to propose her motion to Council? Councillor Cobby.
Thank you, Chair. Before I start talking about the motion, I just want to highlight that this week is World Childless Awareness Week, which aims to raise awareness of the childless not by choice community, which includes anyone who, despite their longing to be a parent, have never been pregnant for any reason, not carried a full term, or have suffered the sadness of a baby born sleeping, along with other personal circumstances. Therefore, I want to acknowledge my thoughts for those who fall into this growing community and note my continued support for those who choose the right to not have children as well. Fellow councillors, I bring this motion forward to you today to highlight my concerns of South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board's proposal, and if carried, the impact the proposal will have for residents in Doncaster, which may include many of your friends and families of your loved one and also your constituents as well, and also to the residents in Ryder, South Yorkshire. The board has proposed to cut the number of cycles from 2 to 1, which is already under the recommendation of the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, for disappointing 2 reasons: of bringing in line with most other parts of England, and to ensure value for money by ironically saying, and I quote the board, to maintain a service that we know is important to people who are affected by it. Sadly, colleagues, the SYICB wish to start a race to the bottom on healthcare and fertility by adding to the postcode lottery on accessing certain healthcare services to only save 1.4 million over 5 years. And whilst this may sound like a lot of money to some, this is only a small saving the ICB would make in comparison to potential financial outcomes of a successful cycle, which includes like the reduction in accessing mental health services for anyone that goes wrong, and also the potential impact if these services are sourced elsewhere, which are not safe to or at risk to the individual and the potential child, because again, we don't know where like seminations come from as well, if they go through mail order. Infertility is a recognised medical condition, and research from clinics and studies all share the same information that performing a second and a third cycle of IVF attempt increases the probability of pregnancy cumulative due to the advantage of being able to take into account all the information produced by the first cycle, particularly if it fails. Fertility does not discriminate, and it can impact anyone, regardless of anyone's characteristics or even their political background. But the offer the SYICB is placing does, and this would mean not every resident will be able to receive their right to have a family if they cannot afford safe private treatment. Councillors, I ask you to support this motion on behalf of residents in Doncaster to push back on the proposals and encourage the SYICB to bring the number of cycles in line with the national recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cobby. Councillor Sue Farmer is seconding this motion. Councillor Farmer, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. I second this motion because it's an issue that strikes at the heart of fairness, dignity and the right to family life. I fully oppose the proposed reduction in IVF cycles by the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board. This council notes with concern that the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board is consulting on limiting IVF provision to just one cycle per patient. This is not merely a budgetary adjustment, it is a decision that could profoundly affect the lives of countless of individuals and families across our region. Let us be clear, guidance from the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence recommend up to 3 cycles for women under 40 and 1 cycle for those aged 40 to 42. These recommendations are not subjective. They are based on evidence, compassion and a recognition of the emotional and physical toll that fertility treatment entails. In 2022, the average age for the first-time IVF patient was 35. The average age of childbirth in England and Wales is now almost 31. These figures reflect a change in society, one where people are starting families later, often due to economic pressures, career demands and personal circumstances. To reduce IVF access now is to ignore these realities. This council believes that such a reduction will create a postcode lottery in reproductive health care. It will leave Doncaster and South Yorkshire trailing behind other regions, denying our residents the same opportunities afforded elsewhere. We must also consider the human cost. One failed cycle can devastate a person's mental health. The anguish, the grief, the sense of loss, it reverberates through families and communities. And ironically, the cost of treating that emotional fallout may well exceed the savings made by cutting IVF provision. Let us not forget private treatment is out of reach for many. And when hope is denied, people may turn to unsafe alternatives. Unregulated clinics abroad, anonymous donors online, or even riskier behaviours. This is not a future we want for our residents. Let's stand for equality, let's stand for compassion, and let's stand for the right to build a family, regardless of postcode or income. I ask the council, vote with us on this important motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Any questions? I have Councillor Knight, please.
Chair, I've got to offer my apologies to yourself on this one because I represent this council on the SYICB. So do you want me to leave the room or just sit quiet on this one?
Jane Cox, please.
I fully support this motion. I just have some concerns about the third statement in the council believes that, and I just wondered what evidence we're basing this statement on. Obviously going abroad to clinics, we can assume we have figures for that, but the risking unsafe sex with unknown partners or ordering semen from unknown donors, I just wonder what we're basing that on, because it just seems like quite an extreme statement to make.
Councillor Nicola Brown.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that being a mother and a grandmother is the best gift in the world, and I don't know what it must be like for people who can't have children, so I fully support this motion in the hope that it helps somebody.
Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Chair. I hope to see cross-party support for this motion, but let me make my position completely clear. I do not support the proposal of South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board. I believe that the number of IVF cycles should fall in line with the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, which recommends women under 40 years be offered up to 3 cycles and 1 cycle for a woman aged between 40 and 42. If these proposals are implemented by South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board, then it would not be fair for residents of South Yorkshire, as it would put us at a disadvantage to neighbouring counties.
Thank you. Councillor Lindley, please.
Oh, already. I know that. Sorry, just to let people know that I am aware of people in the community who are, shall we say, using things like turkey basters. You know, so obviously there's some. There's an amount of, if you like, under.
Would you like to, sorry, Councillor, would you like just to move to a different microphone and then make your point, please?
And safer route than.
Thank you with your patience with the technology, and you were very audible, so thank you for that. Councillor Riesbeck.
Having just become a father, I couldn't recommend it more to anyone, and so for that reason, I support the motion.
Does anybody else wish to speak before I offer the right reply to Councillor Cobby? Councillor Church.
Chair, infertility is recognised as a medical condition. Trying to conceive can often be stressful, and not being able to conceive is never a choice where someone wants to start a family. Although the NHS has a limited budget and has to prioritise what to fund and at what level, the savings in this proposal look to be around £150,000 per year for the whole of South Yorkshire. The people of Doncaster need to be assured that other areas where better and more acceptable cost savings can be made have adequately explored by the ICB. I do not support the proposed changes, and I will of course be voting in favour of this motion. Emotional and mental health consequences of untreated infertility on mental health and relationships can cost the NHS and the public purse more in the long run. After all, while IVF is a higher cost, it is not excessively so compared to many other treatments, especially when thinking about the average length of treatment. Children born via IVF will go on to become contributors to society. The South Yorkshire, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire Joint Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting members were provided with the opportunity to comment on the ICB proposals in July and requested an improved consultation and improved equality impact assessment of this proposal. Doncaster's representative on the Joint Health Scrutiny Committee is Councillor Dave Knight, and I would ask that he takes the result of this motion and the feedback to that committee on behalf of this council.
Thank you, Councillor Church. Councillor Cobby, would you like to reply?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the comments and support for those who've spoken. I just want to come back on Councillor Cox's point regards to that bullet point. If you do a quick Google, it does talk about, particularly about sperm donations and people applying for it online. So again, the problems with doing that and there's not a safe way is that you don't know the background, you don't know the health background, you don't know health conditions. And there's a case which is publicly in April, and you can have a look on The Guardian. In like the Netherlands, for example, one person has fathered 25 or more children. Now thinking about what about those children meet later in life, and they might be partners, what health risks does that put later in life? And again, if we can put it as support in a safe environment for people to access treatment and have sperm donations, that will make a massive difference too. our community.
Thank you, Councillor Cubby. We shall now move to the vote, and I hope that the IT has been resolved. Could I open the vote by asking you to vote, press green for yes, red for no, and white to abstain. I will now open the vote. Is it working? Mine's worked fine. Is it working? Yes, it is. Okay, so we'll close the vote. So we have 50 votes in support of the motion, 1 abstention and none against. So the motion is carried. Thank you. Item 14, and just before we move to item 14, due to the time of the evening and the numerous adjournments, I want to propose that actually we don't have any secondary questions, and if you do have secondary questions, can you please forward them on to the executive team, and they will process them and get them answered. So that's what we need to do for that. Okay, so item 14, questions on notice. There were 11 questions on notice. Questions 1 to 9 are put to Mayor Ros Jones, and question 10 and 11 are directed to Councillor Rachel Reid, Chair of Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee. I shall read out the first question from Councillor Nick Allen to Mayor Jones. There has been an increase in antisocial behaviour at the lakeside, particularly regarding speeding cars and the noise nuisance they make in and around Levitsa Way and the View car park. Would you be willing to visit the issue of having a separate public space protection order specifically for the lakeside area? I called for this in relation to gas canisters, nitrous oxide several years ago, but I was rebuffed. Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Allen. As I believe you are aware, the current issues within the lakeside area are being managed through a multi-agency approach with various considerations including resident engagement, environment improvements and operational enforcement focused responses. Fortnightly partnership updates are shared with ward members from both Town Ward and Bessica and Cantley to inform of the progression of work and requests for support. Part of the planned response includes reviewing all operational enforcement measures to ensure that the correct legislation and statutory powers are applied. In particular, where there is evidence of vehicle-related nuisance, the increased use of police powers. Examples of such powers include Section 59 of the Police Reform Act 2002, used for vehicles driven in a manner that causes alarm, distress or annoyance. Action taken includes initial warnings, otherwise known as 171 notice, issued to the driver, which stands for 12 months, and if behaviours are found to continue, the police can seize the vehicle under 172 notice. Through the Road Traffic Act 1988, speeding enforcement and driving without licence or insurance, action mobilised through police speed operations and mobile speed camera checks and can result in fines, penalty points, court action with the option for vehicle seizure or a combination of actions. A public space protection order, otherwise known as a PSPO, does not form part of a suite of antisocial behaviour tools and powers. However, it is intended to be used where there are no existing legislation and statutory powers and measures available to tackle the specific issues of prohibitions. We cannot layer up and duplicate where there are existing means to tackle the issues, which would invariably be at a higher level and with higher consequences and outcomes. For example, as mentioned above, the use of a 172 notice results in vehicle seizure by the police, where a PSBO outcome is a local authority fixed penalty notice of £100 initially. Clearly, there are ongoing issues at Lakeside And from the partnership work, we have identified a gap in legislation and powers around cars-related gatherings and are currently exploring options, working with colleagues in legal, enforcement and South Yorkshire Police and liaising with another local authority in the region to look at work they have underway, which does include amongst the solutions a prohibition for car-related gatherings. These discussions, however, include the need to expand and establish new processes that will use information in a way that has not been open to us before. The Safer Roads team is currently working within a multi-agency framework to address the antisocial behaviour concerns at Lakeside. While various options are being explored, the primary issue appears to be concentrated around the cinema car park area. In response, the multi-agency team is actively collaborating with Doncaster Assets team to identify and implement effective solutions tailored to this specific location. We will therefore continue to keep all local ward members updated and included in these ongoing discussions. I'd like to pay tribute to Town Ward councillors Gemma Cobby, Rob Dennis and Majid Khan, who have also put in considerable efforts over the summer with multiple reports that have led to action taking place. In relation to View Car Park, due to a recent CCTV report to South Yorkshire Police around midnight, an immediate response from officers resulted in a vehicle being stopped and its driver being served a Section 171 notice. It has been confirmed that this vehicle was part of a group reported earlier that evening by Councillor Cobby. I strongly encourage ward councillors across both Town and Bessaca wards to engage with council officers and South Yorkshire Police to report crime and antisocial behaviour, and together we can tackle the issue heads on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. And as previously stated, Councillor Allen, can you please send your supplementary question, if there is one, through the channels? Thank you. I will now read out the second question from Councillor Waller to Mayor Jones. You will be aware of the issues at Hatfield Town Council and the fear that the council will end up bankrupt. Can you provide assurances to concerned residents that if the Town Council were to end up being taken under the control of the City of Doncaster Council, that the burial contracts they have agreed with the Town Council will be honoured by CDC and that the burial fees will not rise? This is of great concern to a number of elderly residents who have contacted me. Mayor Ross.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Waller. I am also concerned about the events at Hatfield Town Council, and my office has written to all Hatfield Town Councils imploring them to work together to resolve their issues and ensure that the Town Council can provide services to the people of Hatfield. It has been widely reported that staff and contractors are not being paid, that staff are being threatened by town councillors, and that the police have been called out when both the mayor and deputy mayors of Hatfield allegedly forced their way into the office of a lone working female member of staff. The Town Council is a separate legal entity to City of Doncaster Council, and we do not have the legal ability to step in and sort out the problems of Hatfield Town Council. I know that there have been examples elsewhere where bankrupt parish or town councils have been subsumed into the local authority, but from the information that we have at present, this is not an imminent prospect at Hatfield Town Council. When a principal council replaces the town council, that would be a significant undertaking and would be subject to legal processes. Whilst I cannot provide guarantees on what currently remains only a hypothetical scenario, I am confident that this council would look to honour any pre-existing contractual arrangements wherever possible.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Okay, the third question is from Councillor Jane Cox, again to Mayor Jones. Can you provide residents with some assurance that ahead of any decision to reopen the airport, that there will be a full and detailed health impact assessment, and will the findings be published? Mayor Ross.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cox. The original health impact assessment conducted and published in the year 2000 for Doncaster Sheffield Airport is still available online. In addition, we will be using the information that has been commissioned by the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority as part of the assurance process and supplementing this with the noise and environmental assessment that will be required to support the airspace change process. These matters will be considered by the Airport Consultative Committee remit once it has been established. As I am sure you are aware, we are already in the process of appointing a chair for the Airport Consultative Committee, which will involve representatives from the local community, including friends of DSA, local residents and ward councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, supplementary questions, please be forwarded on to the executive team. I will now read out the fourth question from Councillor Rachel Reid to Mayor Jones. Residents are concerned about the cumulative impact large HMOs on community cohesion, parking, local services and housing mix. Given that smaller HMOs currently fall under permitted development rights and while respecting the requirements of the local plan and the National Planning Policy Framework, will the Council consider strengthening planning controls to address the rising number of HMOs across Doncaster, particularly in the wards experiencing high concentrations, including exploring the possibility of Article 4 directions and updating relevant planning documents to better manage HMO growth and maintain a balanced, sustainable housing market that protects the integrity of local neighbourhoods? Mayor Jones, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Reid, relating to consideration being given for bringing in Article 4 direction relating to houses in multiple occupation in order to remove permitted development rights for the smaller HMO proposals in higher concentration areas. I've already responded to some of your ward councillors for Thorne and Moorends and Mexborough in relation to this very issue, so let me reiterate the same information that I provided them. In accordance with national planning policy, an Article 4 direction can only be used in circumstances where there is an exceptional need, and paragraph 54 of the National Planning Policy Framework states that the use of Article 4 directions to remove national permitted development rights should be limited to situations where it is necessary to protect local amenity or the well-being of the area, and in all cases needs to be based on robust evidence and applied to the smallest geographical area. Given the above, for any consideration of Article 4 direction, it is essential, therefore, for there to be a robust evidence base of HMOs clearly causing harm to local amenity or well-being of an area. Relevant officers and teams are already looking at complaint information to see if such an evidence base can be established. Should you have a supplementary question, I would ask that you do actually put it to Councillor James Church, who is the relevant Cabinet Member for Planning.
Thank you. The fifth question is from Councillor Ion Emmanuel Kratchen to Mayor Jones. Residents in communities impacted by developments often feel disconnected from decisions about how Section 106 monies are allocated. This is because Section 106 agreements are negotiated privately between developers and planning officers. The Community Infrastructure Levy, CIL, provides a more inclusive model for involving input from ward councillors and, where appropriate, parish and town councils. Would this give Doncaster's communities a meaningful say? This would give Doncaster's communities a meaningful say in identifying their own infrastructure needs and improve transparency and trust, which contribute to good governance. Would the Council consider introducing CIL to ensure residents impacted by developments have a voice when allocating funds from the new developments? Mayor Ross.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cratchon. With respect to the introduction of Community Infrastructure Levy, CIL, as an alternative to using Section 106 agreements for securing contributions from developers for infrastructure. Following the discretional introduction of CIL, we were one of the first authorities to undertake the necessary evidence-based work to inform decisions as to whether it was the right approach to take for our community. However, the viability evidence showed that large parts of Doncaster would not be able to support a CIL charge, and that Section 106 would generate more funding for much needed infrastructure compared to the forecast from the adoption of SIL. SIL was also shown to negatively impact on the amount of affordable housing that could be secured, as such contributions are still delivered through Section 106 in line with legislation, but left vulnerable to being negotiated away as SIL takes precedence over 106. I would also note that there has been significant uncertainty around the future of SIL, including following the previous government's independent review, which concluded that SIL, as currently configured, is not fulfilling the original intention of providing a faster, fairer, simpler, more certain and more transparent way of ensuring that all development contributes something towards cumulative infrastructure need, and that it also disrupted and complicated the Section 106 arrangements, which, though much criticised, actually worked reasonably well for many sides. We have periodically reviewed our evidence base for SIL, alongside keeping abreast of the various proposed changes to the developer contribution system that have been proposed, and we will continue to do so. For example, when we look again at our local plan as we come up to our legal 5-year review, should you have a supplementary question, then again, I would request you put it to Councillor James Church, who is the relevant Cabinet Member for Planning.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I will now read out the 6th question from Councillor Joan Briggs, again to Mayor Jones. Many borough residents feel the current emphasis on imposing 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in Doncaster's residential areas does not reflect their priorities, whereas safer crossing points, particularly near schools, shops and busy junctions, are frequently requested and would deliver more tangible safety benefits. Could the Council consider reviewing the budget allocation to better align with community feedback and ensure that road safety measures are both effective and publicly supported by considering the possibility of reallocating some of its funding towards increasing the number of pedestrian crossings, which residents consistently identify as a pressing need? Mayor Jones.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Briggs. The rollout of 20-mile-per-hour speed limits to residential roads is now nearing completion, and funding is committed to complete the scheme. Requests for crossing points of pedestrians crossings are assessed by the Safer Roads team. Each location is assessed on its own merits using data we have collated and in line with the draft accessibility policy, which can be shared with all councillors in the coming weeks. The Safer Roads team are currently developing a 5-year road safety strategy, working across teams, across the authority and external partners. I would be happy to discuss potentially increasing funding towards road safety. However, I must emphasise that interventions such as road crossing would of course need to be introduced to areas which are facing the greatest challenges. This would be a common sense and evidence-based approach.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. The 7th question I will now read out is from Councillor Glyn Whiting to Mayor Jones. Given the Council's target of achieving net zero emissions by 2040, can you provide the total estimated cost of delivering this goal, especially in relation to retrofitting the Council's housing stock? Mayor Jones.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Whiting. As per the motion on solar which has been discussed at this meeting, we have acknowledged that an increased use of renewable energy sources, such as solar power, is critical in meeting the UK net zero commitments and tackling climate change. In relation to an estimated cost up to 2040, I'm sure that you are already aware that we carry out 3-year budgets as part of our medium-term financial strategy, and we haven't got an estimate for the Council to achieve net zero. Our approach to net zero has been largely on an invest-to-save basis. In relation to net zero and our council housing stock, in 2021, an exercise was conducted by Savills on behalf of this council and St Ledger Homes to estimate the likely additional cost to achieve net zero to the council's housing stock over and above the existing projected planned investment to maintain the decent home standard. At that time, it was estimated that these costs would be in the region of an additional 450 million to achieve net zero by 2040, or an additional 240 million to achieve net zero by 2050. The government has recently published a consultation regarding the introduction of a minimum energy efficiency standard for social housing, potentially as soon as 2030, as well as announcing their intention to change the way in which the energy efficiency of properties is assessed, later having the potential to lower the existing energy performance of some properties. The proposed changes are likely to increase the range of investment needed for properties to meet minimum energy efficiency units. Until government provide further details regarding this and changes to energy performance ratings, it is difficult to try and calculate the likely cost of meeting these requirements alongside the journey to net zero. As the detail is clarified, it is the intention of St Ledger to revisit costs of achieving minimum energy efficiency standards and net zero sometimes towards the end of 2026 or 2027.
Thank you.
Just to highlight, since 2021, the Council has successfully bid for over 17 million of funding to improve the energy efficiency performance of its housing stock. Spending Review 2025 confirmed 13.2 billion funds for the Warm Homes Plan, which will be used over the next 5 years to fund housing energy efficiency measures such as heat pumps, solar panels and insulation. We expect to see some of this budget devolved to strategic mayoral authorities, including SYMCA. Due to its scale and longevity of delivery, home energy efficiency retrofit presents one of the greatest opportunities for well-paid long-term jobs and development of skills. All investment plans present an economic opportunity for local, regional and national supply chains. The delivery of home energy efficient works out for most in-need residents will directly reduce the impact of the cost of living for them. The physical and mental health benefit of living in a warm and comfortable home will help reduce pressure on health services and social care. In relation to net zero as a council, you will see that we have invested in solar panels on rooftops of council buildings. This investment not only supports our net zero ambitions, but it also reduces energy costs for the council and is such a prime example of investor save, meaning the more they pay for themselves over their lifetime. Our recent and current investment in our pools and leisure centres is also a prime example of investing in modern technologies, heat recovery and energy efficiency. It's schemes like these which are simply common sense as they reduce the operating costs of the facilities. Another example is that nearly 10 years ago now, we commenced a major scheme to modernise Doncaster's street lighting stock. The LED lamps are more energy efficient and cheaper to run for the council as they have an expected life of 100,000 hours or 25 years of normal usage, whereas the previous halogen lights only lasted up to 6 years before they need to be replaced. As well as making savings, the scheme was designed to reduce the council's carbon footprint. As a council, we invested over 13 million, which was mostly funded by an environmental SALIX loan via the government. The projections were that it would save over 1.4 million per year in energy savings per year alone across over 47,000 street lights. Thank you for your question. If you have further, please put it in writing.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. As you are aware, colleagues, Council Procedure 12.1 states that where the meeting has lasted 3 hours, we should determine whether to continue the meeting until we have completed our business. The half an hour extra includes the adjournments that are not part of the business. Alternatively, we can adjourn the meeting and continue any unfinished matters at our next ordinary meeting in November, or fix a new date and time to conclude the items on today's agenda. Can I propose that we continue with our meeting until we have concluded all our business on the agenda, but that we will not continue past 10 p.m. Do I have a seconder for that? Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Agreed by consent? Thank you. Let's continue at pace and get the business completed. I will now read out the 8th question to Mayor Ros from Councillor Stephen Barnett. Given the vital role Wormsworth Library plays in providing access to books, digital resources, community space and educational support, particularly for residents who may have limited alternatives, can the Council explain the evidence and consultation process that led to the decision to close it and how this aligns with its stated commitments to community wellbeing, social inclusion and lifelong learning? Mayor Ros.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Barnett. The library service in Wormsworth isn't closing. The proposal is to relocate to Wormsworth Community Hub, which is 350 metres from the existing location. Although a change for the volunteer group, the same services would be on offer for the community, and at the same time, this would save on the running costs and significant capital investment that would otherwise be required to keep both buildings running. We recognise the importance of the library service based in Wormsworth. That's why there has been extensive examination of options prior to the proposal for the service being relocated to Wormsworth Community Hub within the Stapleton Centre. The borough-wide asset rationalisation programme is designed to ensure services are delivered from buildings that are safe, sustainable and fit for purpose, while supporting the Council's broader commitments to community wellbeing, inclusion and financial responsibility. The Community Hub was identified as the most appropriate location, offering a better maintained, more accessible, more cost-effective venue 350 metres from the current site. The existing library building is a modular structure at the end of its expected life. A conditions survey identified significant issues with the fabric of the building, as well as heating, electrical and mechanical systems, with a revised capital investment requirement of $132,350, simply to maintain ongoing use of the building. Annual running costs are also above average for a building of its size and use. On the 23rd of July 2025, the programme team met with Wormsworth Community Partnership to share the proposed rationale. The group were invited to provide feedback and assured they wouldn't be responsible for funding the relocation. They requested cost details to explore independent building management, which was shared by email and in person. Several follow-up emails were exchanged and further inquiries were addressed through August and September. The group has not been asked to comment directly on building costs. Consultation has also taken place with the library service, involved throughout the programme, including site visits and input to proposed documents. Issued project outline to all library groups in September 24. Held follow-up in-person engagement with the Wormsworth Volunteer Group earlier this month. Alongside engagement with relevant cabinet members, local ward members, community teams and public health colleagues who have been involved in all steps of the building review and decision-making process. A relocation of the library would allow the group to continue all community activities. The presence of a defibrillator at the current site has been noted, and it's worth highlighting that the proposed relocation site, the Community Hub, already has a defibrillator installed and accessible to the public. If you'd like any further details, then I would request that you put it in writing to Councillor Glyn Jones, whose portfolio includes assets. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mayor Ross. I will now read out the 9th question from Councillor Gerald Squire to Mayor Jones. While I understand that the costs of housing asylum seekers in hotels and private accommodation are met by the government, can the Council confirm how many individual asylum seekers are currently accommodated in hotels and in houses in multiple occupation HMOs within the Doncaster area? Mayor Ross.
Question, Councillor Squire. As you are aware, the housing and accommodation of asylum seekers is led by the Home Office and their private contractor Mears Housing, who undertake all housing and support needs of these individuals. Doncaster has been robust in its approach to housing asylum seekers here in the city and successfully challenged the opening of 2 additional contingency hotels under the previous government. We also campaigned and provided information leading to the closure of another contingency hotel. We have also successfully challenged the use of numerous properties that Mears Housing have attempted to procure to house asylum seekers. It is my understanding that according to figures for August 2025 from the Home Office, that there are 114 individuals in hotel accommodation in Doncaster. In relation to numbers in houses in multiple occupation, we do not have these figures, but Mears Housing have 94 properties across Doncaster titled as HMO from information we received. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. You will now be pleased to know that questions are going to somebody else, so please have a drink of water and get your thoughts back. The 10th question I'll read out is for Councillor Guy Aston to Councillor Rachel Reid, Chair of OSMC. What steps are being taken by the Overview and Scrutiny Management Committee to strengthen the overview and scrutiny processes in Doncaster to improve good governance, promote transparency, hold the Mayor, Cabinet and other decision makers to account publicly and enable members to effectively contribute to policy development and decision making? Councillor Reid.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Aston. As Chair of OSMC, I, along with all the councillors, am keen to ensure that overview and scrutiny in Doncaster operates effectively. Holding decision makers to account publicly improves openness and transparency, and providing suggestions and recommendations to decision makers helps us reflect the voice of the public and ultimately improve services for our residents. Although a number of us involved in overview and scrutiny were newly elected in May, there are a number of steps that have already been taken to bring about improvements to the process. Chair, would you like me, and Councillor Aston, would you like me to email them? Because I have got a long list and I know people want to go home. So are you happy for me to email those out to everybody? Is that okay? Thank you.
If that's what you wish, that's fine. Okay, thank you. I will read out the 11th question and final question on notice from Councillor Jason Charity. And again, this is to Councillor Rachel Reid, Chair of OSMC. In view of its strategic importance to Doncaster's economy, connectivity and employment prospects, what are the steps being taken by the Overview and Scrutiny to ensure there is effective transparency and oversight of decision-making to ensure Doncaster Sheffield Airport is reopened as fully operational, commercial and economically viable airport, and there is effective consideration of the governance, public funding arrangements and wider regional impacts? Councillor Reid, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Charity. When OSMC set its work programme in June, the committee was very clear that there should be effective overview and scrutiny around the arrangements for reopening Doncaster Sheffield Airport. Now that we have confirmation of the 160 million gain share funding from Simca, the Council will be pressing ahead with its work to fully reopen Doncaster Sheffield Airport. An overview and scrutiny will be engaged, providing oversight and checks and balances at crucial points during this process. Constitutionally, overview and scrutiny has all the tools at its disposal to robustly review the proposals to establish, open and operate a commercial airport. Overview and scrutiny have the right to require the attendance of members and officers to its meetings and access relevant documentation. The Constitution also requires OSMC's consideration before any decision is taken in relation to future borrowing requirements which may be outside the current budget and require a council decision. Arrangements are being put in place at a meeting involving OSMC and audit members in November to review the proposed decisions around the leasing arrangements and any additional borrowing associated with the reopening of the airport. All members will be advised when the dates and times of these meetings are finalised. Following this meeting, the views of members will feed into the formal decisions to be determined by Cabinet and Council in November. After the initial funding and leasing decisions have been considered, overview and scrutiny has an important role in maintaining oversight of the progress towards reopening the airport. I have therefore requested a report be considered at a future OSMC meeting to establish an ad hoc scrutiny panel that would focus on reviewing the arrangements for the reopening of the airport after the OSMC and audit members have undertaken their initial review in November. I am proposing the membership will be made up from overview and scrutiny members from all parties to ensure there is cross-party involvement. The panel would meet at key points prior to the proposed reopening to ensure there is regular monitoring of progress and any Views will be fed back via OSMC to help inform any future decisions. This will also support openness and transparency around the important project. I believe these arrangements will ensure a more focused approach to overview and scrutiny of the plans to reopen the airport and provide effective consideration of the governance, public funding arrangements and wider regional impacts. Thank you for your question, Councillor Charity.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. We now come to part 2 of item 14, questions without notice. Can I just remind people of the time constraints and ask again that there are no supplementary questions. So first, are there any questions for Mayor Ros Jones? Councillor Majid Khan, please.
Thank you, Chair. In light of the appalling rape of a 20-year-old Sikh woman in Oldbury, an incident the police have described as racially aggravated, and following the racial abuse directed at one of our own council officers this Sunday morning in Doncaster, targeting a young Muslim woman when she was out with her mum, does the Mayor agree that real patriotism is not shown through virtue signalling and flag waving, but through meaningful acts of service, such as supporting local litter picking groups like those from the mosque, volunteering in our libraries, helping at youth clubs, attending lunch clubs for the elderly, and assisting in feeding the homeless? These are the everyday contributions as shown by Doncaster Community Development, a Muslim organisation, and by Guru Nanak Free Kitchen, which is a Sikh initiative. These initiatives really strengthen our communities and bring lasting pride to our city.
Mayor Ros.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Khan. The incidents you mention are truly horrific. There is absolutely no excuse for racism. It goes against the British values of mutual respect and tolerance for those with different faiths and beliefs. I encourage anyone experiencing racism to report it to the police. Racial abuse and racial hatred has no place in Doncaster and no place in civilised society. I would encourage everyone to get involved within their communities, to volunteer with litter picks or in community libraries, to support local charities and food banks, or simply by supporting local businesses and high streets. It's up to all of us within our communities to make them a safer and happier place to live. There is absolutely nothing wrong with flying the flag of St George or the Union flag. Let's encourage pride in our communities and pride in our country. Let's promote British values of democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty and mutual respect and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. Those are the British values which I hold dear. We have Remembrance Sunday coming up in just over 6 weeks, where once again we will see the Union flag and the regimental flags adorn our war memorials and cenotaph, to reflect and give thanks to the servicemen and women who have made the greatest sacrifice for our freedom. And let's not forget the role that the ethnic minorities played in the British conflicts in the past, including Sikhs, Muslims, Hindus and Gurkhas. I do acknowledge that there are some who are using the flag of St George and Union flag to stoke racial hatred and cause division within our communities. If anyone would like to report hate crime, this civil building is a hate crime reporting centre. For anyone that wishes to cause community tension through racist language and actions, then I have the message for you. You do not speak for the people of Doncaster, and you do not uphold British values that you proclaim to be trying to protect. Just last week, we saw the fatal shooting of a political activist in USA, which I wholeheartedly condemn. I implore everyone to take a step back. We are seeing political and racial hatred spreading like wildfire. As politicians within this chamber, it is the responsibility of us all to promote political debate, to disagree agreeably, and to stand up against hatred, personal attacks and violence. Across our country and across the Western world, we are seeing the continued polarisation of politics and the apparent inability of some to simply to be able to listen and acknowledge that people can hold different personal views and political views. We have a proud history of democracy in this country, but if we let such hatred fester, then we are forgetting those British values that this country was built on. Those British values of democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty and mutual respect, and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. I actually hold these wholeheartedly and want the whole of this chamber to actually adopt the true British values and respect what other people have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Are there any questions for the Deputy Mayor and Cabinet Member for Environment, Housing and Safer Communities, Councillor Glyn Jones? Councillor Squire, please.
Yeah, I recently emailed Councillor Church on an issue that came up on Friday at my local doctor's. At that time, we had what they call a physician, I believe. He could diagnose things, but he could not sign any prescriptions and had to wait till Mr. Kumar had sanctioned them. Put his.
Can I just interject? I think this question should be aimed at Councillor Church because it's health related.
Pardon?
I think the question needs to be addressed to Councillor Church because it's health related.
Yeah, I just said I'd emailed Councillor Church about it. Sorry.
Sorry, these questions are supposed to be for Councillor Jones. And the question you're asking is just for Councillor Church, I would suggest.
Right. So I can't answer. Okay.
Okay, just ask him in a minute. All right. Is there any more questions for Councillor Jones? Okay, thank you. So, Councillor Church, get ready. Cabinet Member for Neighbourhoods, Planning and Health. Please, sir.
I did email you. I hope you've got my email. It was a big concern because we've got a medical physician, whatever you want to call him, but he couldn't write, he couldn't, well, not write prescriptions, he couldn't sanction them. So on the Friday, a number of patients were sent away without the medication. In fact, one was going on holiday the next day. Mr. Kumar had actually put the prescriptions to that chemist in Boots. The Boots chemist told us that you could go to any Boots chemist. When we tried to get the prescription from other Boots chemists, Mr. Kumar had actually just directed them straight to that particular practice, that Boots in Asken. Now, this is not acceptable when people need their medication over the weekend, that we've got to wait for a doctor, and I'm afraid we can't just rely on a practitioner or whatever your physician should I say. We need somebody there without having to wait for the doctor what's probably busy to sanction prescriptions. It's just not on.
Councillor Church.
Forgive me, I've not had the chance to respond to your email. It is an ICB issue, it should be addressed to them. But I will try and get you that information to actually speak to them directly yourself. Sorry? Rachel. I'll just finish, but I will endeavour to get that information by tomorrow as well, I promise. Okay?
Thank you.
Phone and sorry to speak while we're coming so close to the meeting. So just to support the response there, any questions around the NHS we usually direct to ICB colleagues, Integrated Care Board colleagues. We're happy to take any of your casework questions through Councillor James Church as our portfolio holder, but happy to hear it through the councillors online mechanism as well. So anything regarding NHS responsibility services, do send them through councillors online, and I'll pick them up and direct them to the correct ICB colleagues. We'll do the same in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you for your interjection, Rachel. Councillor Neilwood, please.
Thanks, Chair. It was for Councillor Jones. I pressed in, never said no matter.
Questions for Councillor Sue Farmer, Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Families. Okay, there were none. Thank you. Oh. No. Okay, thank you. Moving on. Councillor David Nevitt, Cabinet Member for Adults, Wellbeing and Culture. Okay, thank you. So now we move on to chairs of committees. So are there any questions for Audit Committee and Councillor Jason Charity? Okay, thank you. The Chair of Elections and Democratic Structures Committee, again, Councillor Jason Charity. Thank you. The Chair of Health and Wellbeing Board, Councillor James Church. And the Chair of OSMC, Councillor Rachel Reid. Thank you. Okay. Item 15, flag policy. At its meeting in July, Council passed a motion requesting the Chief Executive present a report to September Council updating on progress towards the implementation of a number of recommendations relating to the Council's flag flying policy. As requested, these recommendations have been considered by the Mayor and the outcome is detailed in the report. As this motion has already been subject of a debate, this report is being presented for information only to provide members with details of the outcome. Council will receive a further report in the new year, which will provide a summary of the outcome of all motions put to Council during this municipal year. Before I ask Council to note the response, does anyone wish to speak on this item? Okay, thank you. Do we agree the report? Okay, thank you. The report is noted. Item 16, minutes of joint authorities. The minutes are included as a hyperlink on your agenda to enable you to view them online. These minutes are included for information and not for endorsement. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Thank you. Can I ask a member to move that the minutes be noted? Is that noted? Thank you. Members, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business at today's meeting. I now declare the meeting closed.